Yeah, look, they said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know, I've been on a what? Mission. Go. Okay, let's get it. Got a little time on my hands like a wristwatch. I don't got time for the brakes and a pit stop. Brace with the gridlock, take it like Chris Rock. Right to the chin, still win. Heavy metals like Slipknot. Got the driving, I got tunnel vision. I just hit my stride the way I run the business. I've been making paper like I'm done to Mifflin. See the end game, I got one division. Look, I don't ever bother with a critic. Hit him with a chronicle of Riddick. Boom, bottle full of Ritalin. I hit him with a little bit of riddle me this, riddle me that. My bad, fell asleep at the gas. No time to wait though. Elon Musk, I'm trying to bankroll. New Tesla just cause I say so. Electric whip like Ivan Van Gogh. I just did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is
GM. Drop us a GM in the chat down below. Hit the space up above. Give us a like, repost a bookmark. We would appreciate it. And we'll get rolling here in about 30 to 60 seconds.
She bad, but she totally nice. She was a blue and a toast with like white. They company met jou, dat is zo voor mijn lijk. He knew it for sure, but he left with a why. Yeah, we live, but we destined to die. And you say it on me, but I'm ending a lie. I'm a lie. En ik voel me net Memphis een paai. En ik jaag op de coat in de scene. Die moest eigenlijk rennen, we lopen misschien. En ik wil niet eens kijken, mijn ogen die zien. En serie niet genoeg dat ik kopen wat die doof in de been. Hier co-star, I got 5 for my name, I got no star. Come to me just to see how my shoes are. Yeah.
They said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know, I've been on a what? Mission. Go. Okay, let's get it.
This episode is brought to you by DGen Network, the only community-based Web3 media network, bringing you the very best content in the NFT and cryptocurrency space. Please visit dgen.network and check out our other great shows. That's DGen, DGEN .network.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain. Happy Friday. GM. If you haven't already done so, drop us a GM in the chat down below. We've got a fun game we're going to play here in a little bit for some action in the chat. But go ahead and drop us a GM. Give us some love on the space. It is linked up above. The likes, the reposts, the bookmarks, all are appreciated. It's a Friday. We're going to have some fun today. This is Cap. I'm joined by my co-host, Riggs, today, filling in for my buddy Steve, who is out on field trips, having a family day in the new Tesla. GM again, everyone. Give us some love on the space. It is linked up above. As we have fun today, we'll probably talk about a few things. I don't think we'll get into anything too serious on this Friday in terms of financial advice. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about ETH ETF and whatnot, the major headlines. But as always, no financial advice. Entertainment purposes only here. Riggs and I both hold tokens that we'll likely talk about this morning. So know that crypto is risky, NFTs are risky. Don't ever put any money in that you can't afford to lose and expect it to go to zero. Riggs, GM, sir, thanks so much for joining me. Appreciate you pinching in here on the short notice.
GM. Audio all right. For some reason, I was just having some struggles with my Rodecaster. It's been a hot minute.
Oh, yeah. Crystal clear. Sound good.
That's what I'm talking about. Excited to be here, Cap. Appreciate you tagging me in. I think we've got some fun things we can chat on. But I don't know. Did you listen? Did you spend some time? I know it was past your bedtime. So I'm not sure if you got up this morning and listened to the spaces that Adrian put on, which was, I guess, the Avengers series of Web3. I'm not quite sure I would call it the Avengers series, but I dig it. Pretty exciting to start to see really solid content from leadership in the space starting to take place again. That was something I really was happy to see last night. I'm not entirely sure how he pulled that off, other than I know he's managing partner at a VC. Maybe he's got some funds in some of those projects, right?
Big enough check, they'll all get on the space with you, right?
Yeah, fuck yeah, absolutely. Adrian, by the way, if you ever need me, and want to stroke me a check, I'm here, my man. If you ever listen back to this, let's talk. But no, it was a really good show. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it this morning.
I actually, you're right. It was past my bedtime. I don't even know when they went live. I had no idea it was even happening. I was not familiar with Adrian or the fund. Admittedly, I was not aware. It wasn't even anywhere on my radar up until I woke up this morning, saw it on the timeline and in the war room. The war room was popping off. That's where I first usually I get my news on the timeline first. pretty sure that caught my attention in the war room. And yeah, I did catch the playback this morning. It was my soundtrack as the pre-workout kicked in and into the gym. Had to shift over to some music as I got into the dude. We've had some workout talks. I'm gonna I think it's the entrepreneurial blood just firing back up inside me. Ever since I unshackled the corporate leashes, I'm throwing around some heavy weight at the gym. I'm like, there's kids that are probably half my age that I'm lifting heavier things than they are. And I'm by no means like a power lifter or bodybuilder. I'm not like Sansa or Joey out there doing 300-pound hang cleans, but just like basic stuff like bench and shoulders. Like I notice my weight is going up. I'm like peak. Like in my entire life, I'm lifting heavier things now than when I was 18 and chiseled. And it's a culminating effect, right? I'm not doing anything crazy. My workouts are actually very light. I've just been going almost every single day for the past 6 years, and the compounding effect has been noticeable this week. And I think it's only been noticeable over the past couple of weeks because I just started challenging myself a little bit more, just like for no reason other than like the blood flowing a little more violently here in entrepreneurial world and working a little, got the hustle back in me, and just like, let's see if I can add 5 pounds this week and then add 5 pounds next week. Next thing you know, it's like, I'm gonna do like a, like I'm not there yet, but at some point it's like I want to do the NFL Combine. How many times can I throw up 225? I've been there. I don't like max out. I'm not powerlifting, so it's like that's not in my repertoire today. But I'm getting close to where it becomes something I'm throwing up sets of, and I've never been a big bench. Has never been something of my strength. I've got very long arms and long legs and a short torso, and I have a competitive disadvantage to the short kings in the world of bench press. But it's I don't know, man. It feels good to be giving, after going, like, while I've maintained for several years and the compounding effects did add up, I've just been going through the motions. I've realized this at the gym, the day job. It was doing my job, getting things done I needed to get done, but then stopping there and not really, other than just going through the motions for those 20, 30 minutes, and then maybe getting a spin. It was just like, even the spins were like, I'd listen to a space or do something where I wasn't really going hard at anything in my life. And man, it feels good to be going hard again.
Of course, you caught me. Typical. I was trying to quote tweet the space, and I was like, okay, get this sent before I could totally tell you were coming to the end. No, that's awesome. It's one of those things. I made a commitment towards the end of last year to focus on physical health, get back in shape. And I will tell you, the last, 4 weeks have been some of the most depressing weeks of that stint, just from, if you've ever been and I'm a runner, right? I don't do a lot of lifting other than, slow twitch muscle lifting, add to the endurance of lifting. So low weight, lots of reps, right? And I was getting back to feeling like an actual runner, not somebody who's getting in shape. And sure as shit, all of a sudden, a couple of weeks ago, I woke up and I stepped down on my left foot and my Achilles felt like it was on fire. Like,
this is my irrational fear as an adult who is active, is blown an Achilles. I don't know why. I've never blown an Achilles.
Well, I didn't blow it. Which here's the thing. There's two ways of thought. First off, I'm terrified to blow my Achilles. Like, it seems, I've had friends do it in front of me. And I have torn my quad, like where it rolled up. So I have torn a muscle in the middle of a race, and it is fucking terrible. Like, it hurts. It feels like you were, I've not been shot, but it feels like, to me, like I was shot. And so the Achilles is scary, but runners are more prone than any other athletes for Achilles tendonitis. And the shitty part about Achilles tendonitis, you can't do anything about it. You just have to wait. You have to, you're stretching every day. You're icing multiple times a day. You're obviously using different types of rollers and working through the calf muscle. But ultimately, tendonitis is just inflammation that you have to slowly work out. And so every week I'm like, can I do a little bit more? Can I get back out there? Finally, so it's been 4.5 weeks. Yet on Wednesday, I woke up finally zero pain, right? So I was like, all right, I am going to go do my walk, because you have to keep it moving as well, because blood flow also helps healing of it. So I was going to go do my walk, and I was like, let me just test this out and go, try to run a 1 mile run at 10-minute pace, which I don't want to knock 10-minute pace. If it's better than anything, but it's very slow for me. I woke up yesterday with it fucking on fire again. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. So it's like, now as a runner, if I can't run, it's very hard for me to mentally get motivated to do other workouts. It's just one of those things. And I know it's a mental thing. I need to get over it, blah, 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 blah. But I'm just watching myself, all my progress, not weight-wise, because I'm still down on weight, but all my progress I feel is going away. And so I'm going to get it fucking back, Cap. Don't get it twisted. But it's one of those, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. This shit sucks. It's like, and I jinxed myself as well. I totally jinxed myself. So I was out walking with Mrs. Riggs in the city the other day, right before this happened. And I had just gotten a new watch, the iWatch, so I could really start tracking calorie burns, tracking some other things. I just wanted to track some stuff. And my other iWatch died. Then I was like, man, I am running through my running shorts and stuff. Last time I did this, though, I was like, and I'm literally telling her this. I go, last time I did this, I went and bought a bunch of stuff, and I got hurt. And then I stopped working out, and so I had all this old stuff, right? And now I'm using it, but I need more of it. What did I go do? I went and bought a bunch of stuff, and sure as shit. I literally, the week after I'm having this conversation, I'm down and out hurt. And I'm like, mother of God, what is wrong with me, man? But it's all good. I'm happy for you. It's great to feel the energy. I know you and I have been talking a lot more recently, right? Because I'm building a startup. You're now full-time focusing on this. And so you're somebody that I just like to chat with in the days and pass things back and forth. And your energy has felt up every time I talk to you. So I can feel it just from the conversations. I can imagine you put that out there in the weight room as well.
Yeah, it feels good. And it's not like, ooh, look at me. It's just, I believe one feeds into the other, and I guess also makes me glad I'm not a runner and not have to deal with those energies. The reason I stay active is so I don't get injured and can hopefully live into my 100s, like live, not just, be some decrepit somewhere. Anyways, I digress.
Well, you also, I mean, let's keep it 100. You're starting to push yourself now, but you're a specimen, man. I saw you down in Miami. You made me look like a fat slob, dude. Like, we're sitting there. Captain literally is one of 2 people in Miami at Basel that saw me with my shirt off. 1 of 2 people, because we went to the beach. Cap took his shirt off in like T-minus less than a second, and I was like, oh shit. And those of you that don't know this, I've got a bunch of tattoos as well. One of which is a massive skull on my side, on my rib cage. When I get to the point of where I was in Miami, let's just say it's about 195 pounds. That's about the poundage. The skull looks like it gets elephantitis of the jaw, right? It starts to stretch out. It starts to get a little gnarly. And I got it when I was 160 pounds competing as a runner. So you got to imagine it's going to stretch out a little bit. But it keeps me in shape every few years, right? You're like, oh, boy, I need to lose some weight there. But, Cap, you've been a fucking freak of a physical specimen for, I'm not going to dox your age, but your age, right? And I have no doubt you're going to live for a long, long time.
I hope so. 6 years. And you're being too hard on yourself and too kind to me. But yeah, I was 38 and in the worst shape of my life, and just made some lifestyle changes that got me here. The thing he's not sharing is when I took my shirt off, while I might be semi-fit, despite living in the state of Florida, it's still there's like this glow that comes off of me. I'm
pale.
Like,
you are pale, bro.
And like to the point where I have truly been like, especially like at the peak of Twilight, people would come up to me on the beach. This one like leather-faced lady who had way too much sun exposure in her lifetime. I'll never forget being like shiny pale and her coming. This was before I lived in Florida. It hasn't changed since I lived here, but she actually is complimenting me and asking me what sunscreen I use because I'm to keep such pasty white condition. I thank Edward of Twilight fame for that. Like there was an era, there was a meta for a while. It was, you were cool if you were pasty white like me. And I shine on the beach, not because of my physique, rather because of my pastiness. Peg, I saw you fly up this morning, throw up your hand. Go ahead and get in here. We are going to shift from our workout routines and shirtless guys on the beach. A few things we want to get into before our special guest day. We got G-Funk joining us at the top of the hour. Really excited to talk Wolf Game, all things Blast, why they made the move to Blast, and much more. Big announcement today as the actual Cave Game goes live again, and really excited to pick G-Funk's brain on many fronts. But in addition to Wolf Game, all the inner workings of moving to Blast, and I am a bull when it comes to I think they might have been one of the first. They're not going to be the last. I think we're going to see many others follow that lead, and excited to pick G-Funk's brain about 9. And like I said, a few other things we want to get into before then. But Peg, GM, thanks for jumping up. What brought you up this morning?
Thanks so much, Captain. I really want to talk about SheFi University, shefi.org. And I want to tell all the females here and all of your female partners, okay, about this organization. So if you'll allow me, in a little bit, I'll attach, at the top. But I began taking their courses in cohort 10. There's registration going on right now for cohort 11. I will finish on June 5th, and I'm having a little graduation party in my metaverse space. So I'm busy doing a lot of this, but that is the Audacity Metaverse, AWEDACITY. Again, it's a women's metaverse a space. I've been in there about a year and a half. They're phenomenal. They've had some great events, and so for like I said, for the females here, really consider these places, but consider SheFi. Oh, and Audacity's free
Peg,
to get a space.
I'd love to give them proper time, and I don't want to short the conversation. So let's do this. If you got a link or something, please do drop it above.
That's what I said. I'm going to, if it's okay with you, if I can link both of those, okay?
Yeah, go ahead and link them, but let's save the deeper conversation for another time.
I wasn't going to. I just wanted to give you that. That's what I said. I'm having I'm not prepared to do any of this, but I just want to let you know about cohort 11, okay? They're taking registration for this. There's scholarships. My scholarship, I received a scholarship for my cohort, and it's by the Xerion Wallet. And I cannot stress, how this exceeded my expectations, really. And for how we've been doing this in as pioneers, trailblazers, or whatever for the last 4 years, right? This fills in so many holes. They also have, as of last month, a recruiting department, which will help you get jobs in Web3. All the layer 2 companies and things, they all want females. And so please consider this, okay? Maggie Love, the founder, is absolutely incredible. I met her IRL a couple of weeks ago at a New York event. So again, I'm going to pin those two, and but get in there, please, for SheFi.
Awesome. No, looking forward to learning more about it. And yeah, please do pin it up above. And if you want to send a group DM or intro, happy to talk to Maggie and see if we can get her on the show one day. We got a little more time to go.
Oh, that would be phenomenal. Thanks.
Deeper conversation on everything they're covering. That said, I do want to recap this NFT Avengers space last night. We alluded to it as we opened up the show, and as I mentioned, not for the hard pivot there, but we do have a special guest at 9, and I want to make sure we get a little time to discuss this. And if anyone in the audience listened in and wanted to share their thoughts or their opinions on the space last night, As Riggs mentioned, it was hosted by Adrian Newman in the VC space, hosted Ray from 9gag, Luca from Pudgy, Garga from Bored Ape Yacht Club, Zagabond from Azuki, and Frank from DGods, powered by Rug Radio, Decrypt Media, Forbes Web3, and NFT Now. So really it went a little longer than I thought. Well, I don't, actually I said I listened to it this morning. I think I caught most of the playback. Then I shifted over to Modern Markets. I think I probably caught all but like the last 15 minutes of it, Riggs. I just wanted to, again, if anyone in the audience was listening in and anything resonated with you or you had a particular thought or opinion, feel free to drop it in the chat or throw in the request to come up on stage. We're happy to have you join the conversation here. But Riggs, you listened to the whole thing live, is that right? Or most of it live?
Yeah, I think I missed the first 20 minutes or so of it. But from that point on, I listened to everything live far past my bedtime as well.
My first thought listening to the recap this morning was kind of almost identical to what you said earlier talking about it. It wasn't so much that there was anything that what was said. You know, it wasn't like any like, oh, wow, that was an aha, or that was alpha coming from a founder or a project. More so, I think that content is a big net positive for the space at large. And I do believe more of that would benefit the space at large. I believe more of the leaders in this space, whether they want to take on that role and responsibility or not, I believe they are some of the ones that are the best positioned to take this story to those that aren't here. I guess if I were to say one thing that probably resonated with me more than anything else was, if I were to single one thing out that stuck with me, was Garga's line, and I should have wrote it down so I don't butcher the quote, but something of like, this is like to get other people to want to learn more and join this space. Like we need to be the coolest party on the block, like be a environment, a culture, a place that others want to be a part of. And I think during the crazy mania of 2021, the hyper financialization of this space became the lead headline. Many of us that were here, while we certainly were grateful if we were able to make gains during that era, and that was, we were enjoying that part of it as well. I don't think that was the leading reason for many of us staying here and what we've experienced since. And the masses have no clue of what this space entails. And I've been saying for a while, I think this ETF is the narratives that will come out once full approval, and you see Larry and Code go on their media tours. I think the narrative will start to spread that this space is far more than just magic internet money and number go up. But I don't know, Riggs, thoughts on any, did it stand out or jump out to you? That was just, to me, there wasn't anything one thing. It was more the overarching concept and idea of that sort of content.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. And so I was in the war room last night when we were listening to this live, and Steve and I had some disagreements about Frank and how we felt we were what we were hearing. And I think you and I have one as well right now, which is the beautiful part. I actually think that's one of the beautiful parts of content like this, because the fact of the matter is there was over 1,000 people listening live concurrently. There's probably going to have 3,000 to 5,000 people total with the runbacks. You're speaking to the people you want to speak to, right? And not everybody's going to hear it the same way. I actually thought the line he said, "We want to become the loudest house party there is." I strongly disagreed with that. I hated that. It turned me off. And I say that because that's immature to me. A house party? We want to be that's what we want to be. If that's the goal we want to be, I think that's extremely short-sighted and minimal. I think there's so much more we can be. And I know that's not what he meant, but this is one of those moments where repetition matters. Garga, what I loved about this space is you had 3 founders, Garga, Ray, and Zagabond, that are not always on spaces, right? Ray does some, and again, he's in Hong Kong, so we don't necessarily hear him all the time. Zagabond doesn't do very much. I literally said in the war room, this was my first time listening to Zagabond since his Powder Puff interview with Andrew Wang after the blow up of him getting outed for rugging people.
Same. It was my first time hearing from him.
And so he was very articulate. I forgot how articulate he is. I still am not necessarily personally a fan, but he gave me the feelings of him having the capabilities, right? Which is great to see as a leader in the space. Then Garga, right? And Garga never was, even in the Pico time, he was never the face front man, right? Gordon was. And they didn't even really do spaces before. They hit lightning in a bottle, and the community ran with everything. I've been hesitant to say, not really hesitant to say, but I don't think that model works anymore. I think you've got to be team-led, community-driven. And so I think Garga's got to be out in front. I think Garga's got to start talking more. And so I don't think the house party analogy is exactly what he meant the way I heard it, but it's repetitions of being out on stages. Because there were a couple moments, that there were some pushbacks, and you could feel Garga potentially on his heels. At least that's kind of how I felt when there was something about, I think Luca mentioned being in the eight pudgy Slack and Garga not knowing about it. And he goes, see, this company got, it grew so fast. I didn't even get included in some of these things. And those things are great though. It's those visceral moments of reality, right? Of things taking place live on air where we get to see this stuff. What really stood out to me was towards the end, I forget who started it. It might have been Luca. It might have been Garga as well, but kind of saying that we need to be the ones leading and working with each other and collaborating more with each other. And it kind of got really rah-rah wag me. And then my guy fucking Ray comes in. And Ray was like, I disagree. I mean, we do as much as we can. We own assets in each other's collections.
Wasn't lost on me that Ray follows up the meeting, or maybe he did it beforehand, but I did also see that they purchased a couple $100,000 worth of Pixelmon assets. Was it shortly after the space?
I think so. Which again, we knew they were going to do that from the partnership with Stakeland, but they also brought the founder of Pixelmon, or well, not founder because it's a new ownership crew, but the leader of Pixelmon came up for a quick hot second and answered a question too. So that shouldn't go unnoticed that he was there. But no, I am excited to see where this series goes. Unfortunately, these types of series, right? It starts off fucking hot with a bang with this. Episode 2, they can go and get Julian. They can try to get Gary V. There's a couple other big names. But then you start to fade off because what are you going to do? Redo the content? Where do you take a series like this? And he did mention he's going to do top teams and ordinals, maybe some media side with Rug Radio Farouk and some others. So you can do some cool things, but I would like to see more of this. This is an idea I had a long time ago that I just never execute. Well, I tried to execute it through another community, but I didn't get the support to do it. But
I've got we've like teased it out on here. We haven't done it yet because our lives both got a little crazy around the same time in terms of travel. But this is I don't want to. This is very similar to what I plan to do on a weekend space with someone else that's a regular on this show that hasn't been on it for a while. So you can connect the dots.
Yeah. No, I think it's awesome. And this is the type of content I would like to get back into doing, right? I can't do daily shows, especially with building what I'm building. It's just one of those things. And Andrew's up here.
This daily is not the appropriate format for this style.
Correct. Yeah.
There's like after a couple weeks, you'd be down to like D tier founders. No offense to anyone building in the space. It's just the reality. There's not that many people that the majority of this space really care to hear about on a regular basis. I wish it were more. And there's some great builders out there. I don't mean that with any disrespect, but the reality is there's very few that have the attention mind share right now.
Totally. I mean, although I'd like to start hearing people interview individuals like Racer from Frentech, like building. I think it's John. Is it John from Farcaster who just raised the 150 million?
Dan.
I knew it. Yeah. Dan, right?
He blew me off. He said he'd come on. He blew me off. He didn't blow me off. He just said not right now, but yes. And come
Fuck
to
Dan,
Cap,
man.
I got the same thing. I got the same thing about a month ago.
He was raising $150 million. His priorities
Weak sauce, dude. Weak sauce. That's those are rookie numbers.
He
You need to
wasn't-
pump those numbers up. You know.
he wasn't getting $150 million by coming on this show. That is for sure. So yeah, he had his priorities correct.
Yeah, I would say so. But no, we've had, we got Andrew on the stage. Andrew and I've done some interviews together in the past. I really love what Andrew does. If you're not following Andrew, by the way, you absolutely should. He's putting out incredible content. I don't see him doing it from a farming standpoint. He's not doing it for an attention aspect. He's doing it really from an educational mindset from what I see and how I look at it. And so if you're not following Andrew, fucking follow Andrew right this second. But I want to kick it over to you, my friend.
GM guys, I appreciate the very warm welcome. Riggs, I appreciate you. We've had good conversations. I've hosted with Cap as well, and Steve, who's not here today. We've had a lot of guests we've interviewed. I'll say this, and I'll say it again. I think it's for the taking. It's for the taking, and Joey knows this as well, that the bar is extremely low. That if somebody wanted to do something right now, you could potentially do it right now and then outcompete like 85% of people in the industry. Like it's really, really low. I don't think what I'm doing is quote unquote so special. It just hasn't been done yet. So I started doing it. And that's pretty much it. I know that Steve and I think a few others having some other content ideas too, which is fantastic. But like guys, gals, ladies, gentlemen, it is for the taking. It's really right there. And Riggs, I want to ask you a question. What about the series yesterday, or the one-off, the Can Be series? What did you like about it?
I just liked having 5 different leaders. I think 5 was a great number. I liked seeing 5 different leaders on stage where they got put in the position to potentially disagree with one another. But they also had the opportunity to share some best practices and potential failures with one another. And it opened the doors back to collaboration, not competition. Even though there's an aspect of competition, right? Where I look at what they did yesterday, kind of like a track team. And you guys may be like, what the fuck are you talking about? In track, you want your team to win. So we want this entire space to win. But you want to whoop your teammates' asses. And so I want all of them up there wanting to whoop each other's asses, but they want the other person they want to do it with the other person succeeding, not with the other person failing. And so having those opportunities. Now, there were things I didn't like about it, like Adrian said, which, by the way, my God bless him. He said this was his first Spaces he ever hosted. This is the one you pop it on. Woo! Stressful, amazing job for the first go round. I think honing in questions is something that he could get much better on, and not asking things like with no hindrance of resources or no cap on resources. What type of things would you do? And we got ridiculous answers like go. Yeah.
That was actually my other takeaway, is how ridiculous the idea of Azuki Island sounded. And I don't, but then I like, it wasn't a great question. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I can't beat up Zagabond. Like, what are you supposed to answer there? And it was more of like, wow, they actually thought about going and buying an island with their mint funds. Like, I don't, like, it was just like, that was kind of, now that you say that, it was like, oh yeah, that was kind of I don't even know how you would have answered.
It was a pie in the sky type of a question that added no value, because it lended to the possibilities of things like Lucas saying, I'd take everyone to Mars and us fucking be up there crushing it. And then it lended to fucking Ray again. I would do nothing. I would disappear for an entire year.
Ray becomes my favorite founder every time I hear
He's the fucking GOAT. He is the GOAT. I fucking love him. Like, if you guys, and you have to understand, if you look at the founders that were up on that stage last night, there is one. There's only one that has built a massive, massive organization with culture and social, which is 9GAG. Only one. So don't fade Ray. Now don't let him get away with everything, but raise a fucking G. So hey, real quick before we gonna go to Joey, and we've got some people up here as well. I pinned it to the top. Okay, we're gonna play a game here, which those of you that know me, Andrew, I don't know if you even know this yet. So I'm building a startup right now. That startup, the app is called Trio. The handle is in this in the tweet. Go follow Trio. You're going to want to follow Trio for updates, and you're going to want to sign up for the beta as well, which the beta is in the second tweet, or the website's in the second tweet. All you got to do is put your email. First wave of the beta is already closed. We've already got over 1,000 people signed up for it, but we will be adding to it here very shortly. Those in the beta will have a points multiplier. You know what that means. The app is built on the game, on the premise of fuck, marry, kill. Everybody knows fuck, marry, kill. It's proliferated culture for decades. Many of us in Web3 know it as buy, sell, burn. But it can be anything and everything. 3x3 polling. It's supposed to be fun, provides that mental judo, that passive entertainment. And then there's going to be opportunities for you to see instant results of what others voted as, what your friends voted as. You can troll them. There's going to be a lot of fun here. It is a native iOS app right now. We're developing the Android and the desktop. So if you are on Android or desktop, still sign up. You'll still get the notifications. We are in development as soon as we possibly can. Beta goes live at Consensus. So come. Also, if you want in wave 1, we will have special codes at Consensus. So come find me. That's my shameless shield.
Do I get to go first?
On this buy, sell, burn?
Or do you want me to go last?
Of course.
You want to get all the answers in the chat and I'll go last, or you want me to go first?
Let's get answers in the chat. We can go to Joey as well, but we got a buy, sell, burn, and I chose to leave Garga and Luca off, Cap, for obvious reasons. You're rocking the ape, I'm rocking the penguin, right? We already know what we're buying. And so we're going to go buy, sell, burn based on the conversation last night. Which one are you more apt to buy? Which one are you more apt to sell? And which one are you burning to the ground and you don't want anything to do with it? And again, most likely you didn't have that moment of really burning. That's the fun part of this game. You still got to make that choice.
It's fitting that we're going
so
to
let's
Joey.
have some fun with
to
it.
Joey next, because I would have bet my entire
course.
digital portfolio on who his burn would be.
I hope he says bye, Frank D Gods and the D Gods, just to fuck with you right now. It would be fucking amazing. But Joey, Vowels, get in here. Put your votes in the chat as well. Let's see what we got. Come on, Joey, get in here.
GM, everybody. Before I do anything, I'm sitting in the cold plunge. When are my board shorts showing up, Cap? Do we have a date yet?
The date is they will be here for summer. When I want them here as bad as you do. I won't be doing the cold plunge in them, but yes, I am. I will follow up today and see if we can get a date. I'm hesitant to give it because it's one of those things outside of my control, and there's a couple of parties that still need to do their thing, and they've not hit some dates so far. So the what I've seen is incredible, but it's I'm getting antsy.
Real quick, cool. Joey, by the way, real quick. Sorry, so we got C137 in the crowd saying it would have been better to call it flip, hold, burn. Just so you all know, part of this as well, users get to create their own trios, and it can be anything and everything. You can make it, feast, mute, boot, block or something if you want to do spaces hosts. I don't know.
Well, and on that,
literally anything and everything.
To me, the buy is the hold and the flip is the sell. It's like I think you could do it that same thing. And that's how I'm going to play the game anyways. My buy is something I plan to hold. My sell is where I feel I'm potentially maximizing selling the top, and my burn is going to be, well, neither of the other two.
I mean, if people can't guess who my burn is, they definitely don't know me. But my buy is Ray. My sell is Zagabond, and my burn is clearly Frank. I mean, but on the topic of last night, so I did listen to some of it live, and then I listened to some of the recording. And as a whole, I agree with you guys. I thought it was great. I would love to see more of this. These are the type of spaces that, those 1,100 plus spaces of, founders and, you know, leaders in the space we haven't seen. And, not that I want to say his name 3 times and him come back, but since Ryan Carson was doing it, when he was having 1,200, I mean, granted, people were farming his POAP and whatever, but he had great guests. And that's the type of impact that I think we haven't had in a long time with those consistent 1,200 plus spaces. And I thought it was awesome. I loved it. For me, I'm going to go on the other spectrum of like a negative not a negative takeaway, but a little bit of a harsher one, which was listening to the 5 of them really helped me put them into tiers of like who belongs in what tier, and which founders really are if we were going to say like top, middle, bottom, right? That's what really I took away from it, because it's clear that not everyone is meant to be a speaker. Like I think Ray is incredibly smart, incredibly successful, but let's be honest, the language barrier is a little bit of a struggle for him.
I don't know, man. I think it's part of his charm. I get, like Greg said earlier, the fact that we can all hear the same thing and have completely different takes is really fun to me, because I hard disagree with you. I think the fact that English is not Ray's first language, and then he still communicates, as in my opinion, you want to tier him out, he's the top of the tier in terms of those founders as far as communicators, from my perspective.
I think no, and I agree. I just think that sometimes it's for the audience, it's nice having somebody who's maybe a more eloquent speaker, I guess. Either way, I thought that there were certain founders that separated themselves from other founders, and clearly are the cream of the crop. I do hope next time it's maybe they bring some of those back and do bring Julian, and because it would be sad if the next group of 5 doesn't include any of them, right? Because I don't know, maybe that's the strategy, but that was my biggest takeaway, was just the way that some of those founders separated themselves from the other founders.
Sorry, Cap. I think
I'm looking forward to Joey's founder tier chart later today. Go ahead, Riggs.
Oh, yes. Are we bringing those back? I saw somebody else say something. It was Illa said something about the 20 people that are left here or something. And I go, are we going to start asking who's active now again? Let's get back to that. We'll have some fun.
Are those people still on the timeline? Like, I truly don't know.
I've muted all of them. I muted them a long time ago, so I have no clue what those fucking idiots are doing. Nor do I care. But I want to talk about the tiers. I do think that and I think this is a good thing. One, competition drives greatness. You can actually be on a spaces and you can tell, did you do a good job or did you not do a good job, right? Like I feel, and again, I'm biased here, I feel like Luca probably walked away from that and said he crushed it. Luca had some incredible answers. I think Garga walked away with probably I did well, but there's some things I could tighten up. Ray is fucking Ray, man. If you want to question Ray with how he communicates, his bluntness, the bit of a barrier with the language side of things, that's just part of it. Get used to Ray, man. Do
you know if they gave them the questions in advance?
I have no idea. I hope not.
I'd be curious to know if they were like, hey, these are the questions, be prepared, or if it was like, we're not telling you.
I have a feeling since they were queued up.
Yeah, maybe.
Just my guess.
Maybe. I don't really know. But I think seeing people that like the cream rising to the top is a good thing, because then there's people that are more experienced than others on that stage. And whether you like Frank or not, I want, for one, really like Frank as a person. I think Frank is fucking funny. Do I believe in Frank from a leader of a company? Not necessarily. I think there's a lot to be desired and a lot of unknowns there. But he's here every single day. There's people up there that may have heard something he said and said, I'm going to wrap my arms around him and help him here. I can lift him up, right? We always say rising tide lift all boats. I disagree with that statement because sometimes boats have holes in them and you're going to sink either way. It just is a reality, but the premise makes sense. And so I do think that you have people there that it comes up and you rise to the top. That's why we're playing the game right now. Based on what you heard, which one are you buying? Which one are you selling? Which one are you burning? And it's not because any one of them did a terrible job. It's how did you perceive it, right? And so, Andrew, real quickly, before we go to Mackie, let's go to you. Buy, sell, burn, and why? Buy, sell, burn, and why? Azuki, and it's not Zagabond, by the way. It's the assets. Azuki.
Oh, I thought it was the owners, not the assets.
It's my bad. So it's the assets, and I should have been more clear. I pieced this trio together, fucking super fast at like 7:58 before we got going this morning. Azuki,
you got me attacking people.
Yeah, you were going to do that either way, Joey. We know that. Andrew, Azuki, D-Gods, Meme Land, buy, sell, burn.
Okay, so Riggs, as you know, biased, also a current Meme Land holder. I'm going to buy more Meme Land. I am going to sell the Azukis, and I'm going to burn the D-Gods. Frank, I'm sorry. The club in which you're constructing it, it's great for the younger guys. I'm 26. It's not for me currently.
This is my favorite thing I've heard on Spaces yet. Andrew, you are the younger crew. This is amazing.
Yeah, but all my friends are older like you guys. I like the older guys more.
My answer is exactly the same as Andrew's, except I am a little older than 26. I'm physically old enough to be Andrew's father. My answer is exactly the same. I'm buying Ray. I'm selling the peak of Azuki, thinking it comes back to Earth after their anime token drops, realizing that there's likely upside in that as well. And I'm also burning D-Gods, not because anything against Frank, although it's kind of why Adam wins the chat. Keep Fishing says, Joey, if you burn Frank, doesn't he just show up on another chain? And that's actually exactly why I'm burning my D-God, because it is in the range of outcomes that I show back up in a year or two as an ordinal that brings value back in my life. So my strategic burn is burning the D-God, thinking that it's not a zero chance that it shows up as an ordinal someday.
So a good trio right now is Soul Frank, Polygon Frank, or ETH Frank. Buy, sell, burn. Which one are we going with?
I'm buying Soul Frank. I'm definitely buying Soul Frank. And then I'm definitely selling Polygon Frank. No, burning Polygon Frank and selling ETH Frank.
No doubt. Mackie, get in here, my friend. Well, it's been a while, Mackie, since you and I have actually heard each other's voices.
Oh, no, Riggs, I'm listening to you.
Was it the Ryan Carson take that invoked you this morning, Mackie?
Oh, boy.
No. It was the space last night. Oh, my God. One of the best spaces I've seen in so long. I was up till like 1 a.m. clipping it. I've got more to go this morning before I have to work my real job. Like, I am ready to... That was exactly what I have been training.
What was your favorite clip that you can't wait to share today?
I have no idea. I literally wrote down like 20 different spots.
Mackie, I just envision you because you go, that's what I've been training for. You're listening and you put the headband on and you're strapping it on. And it's like, dun, 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 dun. Like you got Rocky music going in the
I've
background.
Got the face paint on, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I am so amped. I clipped the Pixelmon one because that was just funny. I think his name is Julio, talking about reverting back to the old art, like as like a pie in the sky idea. Oh my God, I was in tears. Bring Kevin back. Make Kevin great again.
So let's go. Give us your vote. You can't come up on stage right now and not give me. So you got Azuki, D-Gods, Meme Land, based on last night, buy, sell, burn.
Based on last night, I think Frank did have the poor showing, which is shocking. I liked him talking about the vulnerability side, talking about his health, him and Luca. I thought that was really crucial for everybody here because, you know, people think in this space so often that everyone's just grinding perpetually and you don't have to do that. So that was really nice of him to actually share that and be vulnerable, which is a new side of Frank for me. But I still think that, you know, he was the odd one out. As much as I don't like Zagabond, don't trust Zagabond, I remember sitting in an airport watching those things pump, waiting for them to dump because I just didn't trust the whole thing. God, I have, honestly, I don't know. It's tough. I don't really care about meme land, if I'm honest. It doesn't really rub me. I've never been part of that ecosystem. I don't go on websites to watch memes. Everyone talks about how he's got, you know, millions of people on this website on 9gag. I'm just like, I never been on it. No interest. I get my memes here. So, rambling aside, I'm gonna say, can I say fuck, marry, kill instead?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna say fuck. I'm looking at their pictures right now, just judging who. I just can't. Oh yeah, I can't stand the fucking pit vipers. Those gotta go. All right, so fuck Zagabond. Just because, you know, there's just because I don't trust him doesn't mean there's not something sexy about it.
He's a good-looking man. I hear you.
Marry Ray 9gag, because whether or not I like what he's doing, I can be a good trophy wife. And unfortunately, I'm going to kill Frank. I think he probably throws a good party. But
oh shit, this is phenomenal. This is what this app is going to be, by the way. And I am going to be doing spaces regularly on screen where we're going through it and just fucking around and finding out on it. It's going to be amazing. Mackie, thank you for participating and transitioning it to fuck, marry, kill and giving your reasons why you're fucking and marrying or killing them. Fantastic. I don't know who came up next. We are going to have to do a fire
It's like we're bringing all the oldies out today that regulars that haven't been a regular for a while. I think Eric threw his hand up next. Then we'll go Musty, and then Poppies doesn't have a hand up, but
the person came up. We're going to get Poppy's take.
The person I was alluding to earlier that I wasn't naming may or may not be on stage now. Eric, GM, good to see you.
Speaking of another sexy man, Eric, you know, if you haven't seen him, the dude's a good looking chiseled motherfucker. So Eric, get in here.
Hey, wow, such nice compliments. I'm driving to St. Augustine right now, and I was listening to it. I wasn't on the spaces last night, but I get the general gist here. I mean, just give me a run through here. So we're basically deciding like who we buying, who we selling, and who we burning.
Yeah, pretty much.
Out of only these three collections.
Yeah, these three collections.
Like fuck, marry,
kill.
Yeah,
you can do fuck, marry, kill based on their looks if you want to, or you can do buy, sell, burn based on what you know about the leaders of those communities and projects.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Who was it that there was? I mean, you got to burn to gods. I mean, at that point, it's the only one that you know. Even if you burn it, it's not really burned. It's just there's gonna be something later. Meme land, I feel Maki on it. I didn't get in that ecosystem. I know a few guys that had potatoes, and I love 9gag. Like I think that the site's actually there. I just don't get it as much, and the narrative isn't as much there. I could be completely wrong, obviously. Probably am. I'm getting the thumbs down hard. And then obviously I'm gonna have to buy Azuki. So I'll buy Azuki, sell meme land, burn to gods.
I dig it. First off, no one's wrong here. I mean, technically you are wrong when it comes to meme land, but you know, there's nobody wrong on this. It's just our thoughts and opinions, right? It's opinion-based information. Part of the value. Musty, get in. I think we know what you're fucking buying based on what you've been thumbs down and hardcore on these people. But Musty, get in here. I expect a spicy fucking take too.
Well, I wish you also called me Sexy Riggs, but it's okay. Yeah, I mean, imagine thinking that any of these opinions were right. There's only one choice here. It's Ray. Ray. We're fucking Ray. We're marrying Ray. We're buying Ray. We're setting everything else to fucking zero. Frank just talks
You're
way too
fuck,
fucking much.
marry, and killing him in the same breath,
No, no,
Musty?
no, no, no,
Holy
no, no, no,
shit,
no.
that's
We're fucking
morbid.
Ray. We're marrying Ray, dude. We're doing the whole thing. I'm buying Ray, dude. I'm leaving my wife for Ray. Whatever the fuck I gotta do, bro. Whatever it is, dude.
Steve just, the gif where it's the guy from Simpsons that walks in, throws his hat on, and then turns immediately around and walks out with it, grabs his hat and walks out. That's Steve right now. Steve just tuned in, put it on speakerphone on the school field trip bus, and yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's at the school. Oh shit! It's fuck Ray, fuck Mary Ray. That's so good. Oh, Musty, that's phenomenal. I appreciate the take. You're right though. Ray's a fucking G. We're gonna go to Poppy and then Cap. You and I've got to give our takes. Oh, we've got NFT Ranch down there as well. I just know that we're on a pitch count with G Funk coming in here very shortly. So. Let's go, Poppy, NFT Ranch, then you and I, Cap.
Well, GM, I didn't expect to wake up and fuck, marry, or kill anybody, so that's pretty good. Great start to the day. Excited for what you're building too, Riggs. I think it's unanimous decision that Frank's the odd man out here. Burned, killed, all the things. I think I gotta go bullish on Ray and sell Zag as well. I think it's too obvious. Yep, that's the decision. Buying Ray, selling Zag, burning Frank.
God, man, I hope Frank doesn't listen back to this show. I mean, although he did say last night, send it lower. This show may just do that with everybody fucking burning into the
will
ground.
set you free though. Like the thing, like Frank switching chains are like it's everything changes there, so it's hard to keep up with. It's hard for people to get. I mean, it's hard to get excited about something when it's not consistent, right? He's just like, we may wake up tomorrow and D-Gods are on ordinals, and then the next day they're on base.
Technically, D-Gods are on ordinals. Just throwing that
like
out
the
there.
whole collection, Riggs, everything. So we're migrating. These migrate more than Canadian geese, and Canadian geese shit on everything, and we need to put fake dogs up to keep them away. That's all I'm gonna say.
Based to gods.
You know they're going to base, Eric. You know it.
To God.
D-Gods will be on base before we die. Before Musty kills, fucks, and marries. Hopefully not in that order.
Are we going to forget Blasty Gods? Can we get Blasty Gods, Basty Gods?
Cap would own the whole collection if they go to Blast.
Cap would absolutely. If all of a sudden we're talking about bridging to Blast,
I've not thought this till this very moment. I wonder if the points parlor had any. I wonder if Pac-Man took any inspiration for the jackpot and other mechanics from the points parlor.
Well, if he did, that's a problem because the points parlor didn't work. Which the jackpot technically is working, but it's not sustainable.
Why is it not sustainable though?
We don't need to go. We don't need to go there. We don't need to go.
Joey is crying with the mic off right now. He is crying about the points.
Too funny, Captain. I want you to give. Actually, I'll go, and then you're going to end it for us on the buy, sell, burn. This one's a tricky one for me because the conversation last night, I do think Frank struggled. I felt like Frank still feels is lost. And Zagabond did come in and was articulate in his answers. I still don't trust Zagabond. But nobody has burned Zagabond yet. I'm burning motherfucking Zagabond to the ground right now. Just doing it to do it because I don't go with the fray. I'm not rolling with all you turkeys, man. I'm flying above you like an eagle. I am going to sell D-Gods and the one and only Ray. The one and only Ray. I'm buying. I'm marrying, I'm fucking, whatever you want to say. I'm with you, Musty. He's the go.
Get in line, buddy.
I'll take your sloppies. It's cool. No worries. No worries. We skipped fucking NFT Ranch again, by the way.
I noticed.
And I am so.
I got a quick run for you here. It's easy. You definitely fuck Garga because he needs to get laid, and he's a nerd. So like nerds, they're technical and good at shit with their hands or whatever. And then Ray.
Oh my God.
Listen, Ray, you marry him. You poison him. You get power of attorney. You make sure another $1 billion brand doesn't get burned to the ground by this guy.
Speaking of billionaires getting married, I was not aware of the most recent VP candidate in her game. I was not aware of the billionaires she slayed.
This is the move. You slay billionaires, you take their fortune, and then, last but not least, you turn Frank into Rip Gods. You make a meme out of it. You fucking kill him. Rip God sounds dope, right? Buy my project. Peace.
Rip Gods is good. My apologies for skipping you. NFT Ranch, you were down below the screen. Steve always uses that excuse. I'm going to use that excuse as well because it was legit. It's not just an excuse. I really didn't see you, so my apologies there. Sorry, Cap. Now I'm skipping you, even though you're the fucking host, because my twin just came up on stage. Get in here, big dog.
Baby? So I had to bring it up. We called it fuck, chuck, or marry when I was a kid. People are forgetting about the whole tuck it with Zagabond, so I'm chucking him off the cliff. That's the kill. I'm going to, unfortunately, have to bang Frank. I did have to call him out at that crazy elevator party in NFT NYC. The guy, he curled up and fumbled like a little puppy. So I like a little bit more intestinal fortitude out of my founders. He's getting fucked and left. And then I'm going to marry your boy Ray. Marry him for money, just like the last speaker said. Little rice in the morning, and you'll be off to the races looking good.
I like the Chuck side of things. I knew you were going to bring up the tuck it concept.
Come on, I'm never going to forget. Hashtag never forget.
Hashtag never forget. I forget what you used to say. If you tuck it, you're dead to me or something like that. Like there was you said it way better than that. I remember we were out on a mountain bike ride, but either way, Captain ended up. Maybe we'll get G-Funk to say something here. But
I'm not going to ask why you guys are talking about guys tucking it on mountain bike rides, but that's for another. That's another show. That's after my bedtime.
To keep up with J-Brush, we had to get a little bit more streamlined for speed there, Cap.
God. Mine's mine. I foreshadowed mine earlier. I'm burning the D-God simply because I do think there's a chance I get reincarnated later on another chain. I'm selling the Azuki because it's the highest ETH price right now, and I'm in it for the long haul with Ray and the Meme Land team. I wonder if we can put G-Funk on the spot. He did not sign up for a buy burn sell of an NFT Avenger this morning.
I'm definitely putting G-Funk on the spot because he's left me on red on some text messages recently. You know what I'm saying, G-Funk? I thought we were friends, but you didn't realize you were coming up on a space as I'm co-hosting.
I was saying, I also did not tell him that you were pinch hitting for Steve today. This might be like.
I'm just fucking with you, G-Funk.
I was traveling, man, and now I'm sick. This sucks, but no rest. Okay, so what's the question? I saw that there was a Spaces with all these dudes.
Yeah,
I'll be back up there one day.
Well,
give me a year.
You are one of the Avengers in theory, right? I mean, that's basically what your project was almost built on. So you should absolutely probably be up there.
I'm like the guy that's making a 30-second appearance right now, but that's okay.
I mean,
I'll be back.
You're still my superhero, G-Funk. I mean, even though you left me on red, but it's cool. I won't hold that against you. No, just again. So part of what I was calling you about, I'm building a project or a new social app, and it's built on the concept of fuck, marry, kill. It's called Trio. By the way, you should sign up for beta. I'm shilling you right this second. But I wanted to come up here this morning after the Spaces, after the Avengers Spaces, and we do a buy, sell, burn based on what we heard. Azuki, D-Gods, Meme Land. Since you didn't hear it, let's see.
Just those three? Just like Garga and those guys were on other stuff.
They
I can give an opinion on those three.
Yeah, I mean, Cap and me are probably going to be biased if we put Luca and Garga on there. It's just one of them. So I tried to be less biased and go with these three.
Yeah, I mean, Luca and Garga are pretty bulletproof in my book. Okay, so as for the other three, uh, what is it? Fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
You can do fuck, marry,
Okay.
kill. Yeah, just do fuck, marry, kill. Do that.
Okay, so marry Zag, because I think he's on to some good things at this point. He's got his business shit together. Fuck Frank, because he's kind of all over the place and crazy. He's like a wild genius, so there's got to be something weird and electric there. And then, unfortunately, have to kill the potato. We do not have as close of a relationship, though I'd like to get to know him better. But he gets ousted just by virtue of never really getting to know him.
Killing him off. I love hearing men go through fuck, marry, kills with their reasons of why they're going to fuck somebody. It may be one of the funniest parts of all of this. So amazing. Well, with that, Cap, I'm
glad I could provide you with the soundbite. But really though, like all those dudes, like nothing but respect for all of them. I mean, Garga, like I couldn't imagine being in his position, being out of the CEO chair and then going back into this madness, like by choice and likely, generationally wealthy. It's a fucking hard job. And so far, nothing but great things to say about what he's doing. Obviously, Luka, since he got it, just been, it's basically been up only, right? Like, I don't think anybody's questioned really anything he's done since he took it over. So pretty hard to say anything negative about Luka. Zag, I mean, obviously, there was all the drama with the 3 projects or 2 projects or whatever it was prior to launching Azuki, which, isn't great. I've stuck through thick and thin, through mistakes, successes, etc. So I would have liked to see him, ride it out with the originals. But to his point, it's not going to be perfect every time. It requires learning. We're still learning here 3 years later. So, definitely feel for him, been in his shoes. Frank, seemingly lives his life out in the open for everyone to see, and shares a lot of really interesting thoughts on the space and building in the space. So I just have like a ton of respect for just how open he is about the whole mental part of this shit. And he says a lot of things that I think most other founders are probably scared to say, and he just says them. So respect. And then once again, I don't know the Meme Land crew as well, so I don't have as much to say there. But obviously, they've been killing it. Had that really successful initial launch. I'm just not as up to speed on his game as the others, but definitely know he's building an empire over there. So at this point, as long as I've been doing this, anybody that wants to step into that role, nothing but respect. It's a hard job. Shiny, like the next shiny object is always 15 seconds away. So, these guys have done a really good job at capturing and keeping attention, which is why you're talking about them right now. So they're clearly doing something right.
G-Funk, before we got into the actual buy, burn, sell, we were talking about how much most of us, I think almost unanimously, enjoyed the space last night, where it was getting to hear from several founders at once, and sometimes they disagreed on topics. I'm curious, and I know this is hard with head down building yourself, just finding the time to do that sort of stuff, but is there any, I guess, whether it been a space or an interview or a talk you heard at a conference, has there been anything from another founder that's really stood out to you in the last couple of years as like, whether it was an aha moment or something that you really pulled a lot of inspiration or influence from?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of one-on-one conversations with Garga over the years, and in particular since he came back, because I've really, in many ways, lived what he's gone through. Obviously, he's going through it with higher stakes and to a higher degree. But, we sort of went this sort of Web 2 kind of route after we raised our initial financing back at the start of 2022. And so that whole team that we brought in, incredibly talented though they were, it just didn't click with Web3. And that was sort of the beginning of what became sort of like the big dip in all things PV. And Garga has now gone through that. And so to come back in and retake the throne and try and shift it back to a more Web3 ethos, we've just sort of been sharing war stories to that effect. And, I think it's really helpful for all of us to talk to one another. I've talked to Luca quite a bit over the years. He actually was a collector of Pixel Vault way back in the day. I've done a panel with him in New York right as Pudgy was sort of like just starting to take off. And then, within 6 months, it was like the top project that everybody was talking about. And you could just tell he sort of had that like electricity about him and, was just so driven and on a mission. And I think he comes at it from a very unique perspective versus most other founders in the space, obviously with physical goods and how he's going about building the brand. He took it from sort of the lows now to highs. And, fortunately, that's the position that I'm in now with Wolfgame, right? Pixel Vault, built it from the start. We had those tremendous highs. And then, due to some things in my control, some things outside my control, went to the lows. And now it's sort of a rebuilding process of my own creation. But with Wolfgame, kind of similar to what he was able to do with Pudgy, right? I got it in a depressed state. And so it's just a little bit different, right? Because the existing community, similar to Pudgy's, is so loyal. And I'm sure that's why part of why he acquired it, right? Super loyal community, super Web3 native, strong IP, all the same pieces were there. And he was getting a chance to buy it sort of at a distressed point and try and revitalize it, which I think is a very different process than, what Garga's going through. Hey, like we were top of the world for sure. And then, some things led to a bit of a drop. And now he's having to pull out of it, which is more akin to what I'm having to do at Pixel Vault. So, yeah, I mean, I try and talk to these guys whenever I can. It's just helpful if for nothing else than a sounding board, because they're going through stuff that you're going through and, watching how they succeed at times. I definitely try and stay as plugged in as I can on Twitter throughout my day. Sometimes people will give me shit on Twitter for like interacting with other apps or chains or whatever. Like I was tweeting out some Blast stuff very early on, and there's a reason I'm doing this stuff. Like if you're not paying attention to what other people, other builders in the space are doing, what works, what doesn't, etc., you're going to die a quick death. Beanie's always calling me pivot man. Like, yeah, pivot or die. This space moves at 100 million miles an hour. And so if you're not ready to shift as facts change, as preferences change, as business models change, like you're dead. So watching these guys is important. And if you're not, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Like definitely you should be watching the people that are doing things right and seeing where they might be doing things wrong. But certainly that crew was really strong. I'll have to go back and listen to what they said.
I know my much more professional co-host Steve isn't here today, but G-Funk filling in like he's a professional with that perfect setup of today's conversation. I do want to get Andrew's question here before you start diving too deep on Wolfgame and the decision to move to Blast. But I'm curious, were you exploring other options prior to Blast, or did you see the attention, the activity, the volume, and then you said, "Hey, was it?" When did you make that decision to even start this exploration? Was it pre-Blast or after you saw all that was, happening?
Yeah. So I deposited to Blast day one, and I've had the good fortune to know some of like the inner team members there, though none of them are doxxed. And so I've gotten to sort of see the evolution through Blur and now Blast, and a lot of the motivations behind what they were trying to create with Blast, right? Blur being this starting foundation, strong NFT-based community of users, right? I don't necessarily think any chain has really captured the NFT audience in the same way that Blur has an opportunity to, right? Like Arbitrum now is really focused on gaming, right? Of course, Reboot is over there. They have a lot of strong DeFi dApps, and their TVL is the highest, so they're seeing successes in their own right, but there's not really that strong of an NFT community. And so with Wolfgame obviously being a game, but heavily tied to these NFT assets, very early on, I was sort of watching the behaviors of people that were drawn to Blast, and it's like exactly the demographic of a Wolfgame player, right? You're trying to. We're building a game on top of a game. Blast, the chain itself, is a game, right? It's game theory. You're trying to outmaneuver all the other participants, whether it be through the Blast jackpots, how you're going about the gold, making the most efficient decisions for how you're farming the gold. And of course, Pac-Man always has some sort of interesting dynamic up his sleeve to keep people guessing. So it just felt to me as time progressed that starting day one, it had the right sort of like ethos and vibe to be a perfect fit for Wolfgame. And then, I just wanted to see the level of dApps that launched. At the outset, there was some concern that none of the dApps really had staying power. I played YOLO games. That was fun. But there wasn't a lot day one. And I remember there was sort of like this FUD storm of people being concerned. But I don't know. I just believe in Pac-Man and the team. I think they're going to build something much stronger that lasts far beyond these gold distributions and the TGE, right? I mean, that's only a month away. So obviously we're not making this decision just based on the next month. But native yield is a really interesting concept. Andy8052, friend of mine, going back to literally the launch of PV, he built IKB, which is like a daily fantasy site on Blast. And, just talking to him about how when users deposit to IKB, right, he's able to generate yield off of those deposits, and then in turn is able to offer tournaments that are rake free, right? And of course, every business needs revenue. So there are some interesting possibilities offered through this native yield component that allows businesses to monetize without necessarily generating a quote unquote sale, that I thought was really interesting. Sort of replacing what was lost with royalties, right? That passive component where you're not needing to go out and monetize the end user. And yeah, I mean, it's just exciting. Like, he's really good at capturing attention. And I think the Wolfgame audience, they're just so loyal that I think that they're going to be, Wolfgame is really the first sort of like legacy big project that I'm aware of to make the jump. And so I think this could be very useful for the chain as a whole, as kind of like a case study for what can be done to revitalize a community that was really strong still internally, but lacking that outside exposure. And I mean, holders have been our biggest marketers over the last couple of weeks. So it's been exciting to watch it play out. And yeah, the caves go live tonight. So just getting started.
I love it. I don't know if you know this. You're just tugging on all my heartstrings here, talking about Andy and IKB and the DFS tie in there. Andrew, I promise we'll get to you. Appreciate your patience. If you got a heart out, just shoot me a wave or something. Otherwise, I will get to you next. I just a couple things I want to comment back on. and I think this is actually probably what prompted G-Funk to join us today. Is I was talking about this the other day on the show, and I think he caught it during the playback and offered to join us. First of all, thank you for taking the initiative, taking the shot when it maybe wasn't obvious. And hey, you haven't went live yet. To me, it's inevitable that a couple things will happen. Is you're rewarding your existing users that have been loyal. You're rewarding them with this everything you just mentioned. Like Blast is a game, and this whole time I've been a Blast bull, I've not heard it described quite as well as you did. That it's a game within a game, and everything you're doing over there is you're making decisions every day that presumably are plus EV decisions. Some may be plus EV more than others. Talking about the players that the chain has attracted and how well that user base lines up to so many of the on-chain games in this space. I've got a giant Zed bag. I invited them to this space today. I was like, please tune in and listen. You guys need to move to Blast. It's like if the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I'm not knocking them, not picking on them. It's just one that I'm very close to. Biasly do hold a big bag, but what I've seen is just daily active users continue to dwindle. They're as users dwindle, there's less revenue coming in, there's less rewards, there's less incentives. It is just a slippery slope once you start going down that path. This idea of what Pac-Man has created here with the gold mining, the jackpot, I believe this stuff doesn't go away at TGE. It is just a new way of this idea of like third-party loyalty reward incentive programs. And then on top of that, as you mentioned, the native yield, we haven't heard nearly enough people talking about that. Before I found Web3, before I found Top Shot in January of 21, how I found Top Shot was by way of Jonathan Bales of DFS fame. I've been following Jonathan's content.
Actually, that's the same way that I found it. I read that, I don't know, Medium article or whatever he posted.
Yeah, the John Morant article, right? He bought a Top Shot, $5,000. Yeah. I know I'm in Cool Cat queues and Top Shot queues, and here I am. I haven't come out of the rabbit hole since. But my point there is like I that was DFS was my side hustle, was my muse. It was what I did it was where I chased asymmetrical gains and felt I had an edge. I could get it in EV positive spots over the field. And this space was like that on steroids. Where I'm going with this is I likely move 100% of my DFS volume to IKB this fall. I really don't do baseball or very much. I've been playing basketball because of IKB. NFL was really my the sport I go heavy on every Sunday in the fall. I've got a lot too much in play on DraftKings, but that is likely moving all over to IKB because to your point, a Web2 business can't compete with an on-chain business model where they're getting native yield. Like it's just like we haven't really had this deep of a conversation yet about the financial mechanics and what this can potentially unlock for those businesses building there. We've talked about gold and in that whether you use it as a go-to-market launch strategy, like we've seen Blaze do with pumping out 30,000 gold to people that just tweet about it. We've seen PacMoon do a good job of rewarding quality content over quantity. It's so much more than just the gold. And I think gold is getting all the attention right now, and rightfully so. Maybe it is the shiny toy. I think the real beauty of Blast and why I believe that we continue to see more businesses is because they're going to see what IKB is doing. They're going to see what Wolf Games doing. Because my journey with Wolf Game G-Funk is I missed it early. I felt I was late. And so even though I've been deep into on-chain gaming, it was one that I just missed that one. I'll wait for the next one. Now, because I've been so deep in Blast, even though I'm later, I feel like I'm early this time. And I claim my sheep, and
the benefit to you is that things went down like 100x over the last 2 years, but up 17x in the last couple weeks. So baby steps, but long way to go. But yeah, definitely not late to this new iteration of Wolf Game. And to your first off, I had no idea that you were that into DFS. A lot of my decision making and as an early entrepreneur, that was actually in large part how I helped sustain myself financially was, I'd be making 50, 100K a year grinding DFS while I was building sort of different businesses. I've also through my friendship with Andy, I've talked to him a lot about how he sees his business model. And in no small part, those discussions really led me to the decision to move to Blast, because they make no promises up front in terms of gold or grants or anything like that. I've tweeted about this, but it's a meritocracy, right? The more you're bringing to the chain, the more that they're going to give you in rewards. And all of those rewards are intended to flow to the end users. Now, of course, there are ways to use those rewards to help, boost your actual internal business model. But, if you're only thinking about the move to Blast for gold, obviously that's going to run dry soon. But me looking at it from a sustainability perspective and the native yield component and deposits in game, all of these things led me to believe that they were on to something that really no one else had captured just yet. And the audience right now is sort of ripe for experimentation and, sort of exploring these game theoretical components, that game within a game piece. And that's Wolf Game in a nutshell. So, I think it's just the perfect fit. Very excited for this next month pre-TGE. We already have plans built out for subsequent seasons post Cave Game. So definitely this was not a fly-by-night decision. It's something I've been watching since before it ever launched. But wanted to feel some sense of stability before we make a permanent move. So made the jump. Very excited. It's gone well. So excited to see it actually truly in action tonight, because our mint, the free sheet mint, which is going to have some special utility, the free box giveaways, all of these things. We wanted to create a path to entry for players that was completely free. And of course, there will be paths for exclusive paths for NFT holders and things you'll need wool for, etc. But we wanted to give everyone an opportunity to get in for free, to sort of red pill them into why Wolf Game is what it is, why it has this tremendously loyal user base despite numbers being way down. And by numbers, I mean prices. I shared a chart on Twitter maybe a couple days ago, and it was showing in-game activity, and Valley Game was at all-time highs before we ever made the Blast announcement. So this is some sort of combination of, PV and the native Wolf Game team that stayed as part of our acquisition, putting in, I think we got it in August. So just putting in a lot of hard work. Haven't tried to monetize the game in any way. Just, putting in that sweat equity and fixing some holes that were in the game and preparing ourselves for this concept of Wolf Game 2.0. And, that finally starts now. So very excited.
I love it. I knew my worlds, there was a lot of crossover. I had no idea. In the last 24 hours, the connections that have been made, to learn about your DFS background. I kid you not, I dropped in our DJ Network war room this morning that Al Smizzle tweet I just posted up above. I said I had no clue that Al was this deep into Wolf Game. And
oh yeah, I've been he's super deep in. I've taken a bunch of calls with him over the last year. He's got spreadsheets on spreadsheets, analyzing, how he takes his approach to the game. And all the Wolf gamers are that way. So I just think it's such a hit, especially when you look at, obviously there's a plus EV way to play Wolf Game itself. But then now when we add on this additional layer of whatever kind of madness Pac-Man comes up with next, that's also going to influence the game and change decision points. So it'll be fun. I like making changes and moving on the fly. So, you'll see us shifting as the underlying chain shifts and incentives for users, et cetera, shift. Because of course we want to make it as, fruitful of an experience as possible for the players, stay as relevant as possible as a company. And so, always being on that next meta without being reactionary is is that sweet spot that you need to sort of balance as a founder. And, you know, bringing it all the way back to the start of the convo, right? That's something that Frank has always sort of been in the spotlight for, right? Where's the balance between capturing the meta and being reactionary? And so, you know, people have various opinions on Frank, but you know, I respect his willingness to take chances and not sit stagnant when he thinks a change needs to be made, even if it's a drastic one like moving chains or whatever it might be.
For sure. Yeah, if you're not familiar with Al Smizzle, one of the DFS OGs, he doesn't know this, but take as far as taking inspiration or influence from, it was Al and Peter Jennings and these DFOGs that were putting out daily DFS content back in the early, like we're talking like 2012 maybe timeframe. That those years, it was the first time I ever thought like, oh, I'd like to do this. I enjoy this. I talk about this. I do the research to talk about it. I do this kind of stuff in my day life. And I just never did. And it was when I got into Web3, I was like, I'm not making that same mistake again. I'm not going to spend the next decade doing something that I enjoy and have what I feel is a you know, part of my, you know, one of my skill sets is speaking and talking about this stuff publicly. And so it was individuals like Al and Peter and witnessing what they did and how they built their brands and their careers in DFS that I took a lot of inspiration from in starting creating content in this space. Andrew, appreciate your patience. That might have been the longest handhold we've had for a while. Hopefully your arm is not dead. Go ahead and get in here. You got a question for G-Funk?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me up as well as giving me a chance to ask you a question. G, very quickly, aka Pivot Man, I guess is the new one. I do want to ask you, do you think that there is a shortage of talent from a founder perspective in the industry currently as it sits? And what are the best, I guess, talent acquisition grounds for founders in our industry right now that you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any shortage of talent. I mean, our team is about 60 strong, which is probably one of the largest, quote unquote, NFT type companies. I don't know what Yuga's at these days, but we have typically hired directly from within our own community. Maybe we're sort of lucky in the sense that, you know, Pixel Vault was always heavily game theoretical and attracted a lot of the gigabrains. And Wolfgame, actually, even though the original team was not doxed, a lot of the people that were actually building the game were the same people that were in Discord every day. So I actually think that in these early stages of crypto, the native audience is incredibly talented, certainly enough to sustain the companies that are being built today. I'd actually say the opposite is true, that finding non-crypto native employees is the tricky part. That was sort of where we met our downfall. And some of these hires were like objectively incredibly talented people. It's just, you know, Web3 moves at a completely different speed to a traditional, say, Web2 marketing person. Anything we do feels reactionary to them, right? They're putting marketing. Like, think about what was happening 3 months ago. It's crazy. Like literally week by week, momental things happen. Like ETH, ETF. No one thought that was getting approved. Boom, just happens overnight, right? And knock on wood, hopefully he saves all of our ETH NFT bags and pumps sort of the broader L2 ecosystem. But you really have to be agile. You can't marry any idea or concept. And I think that that's pretty foreign to people coming from a lot of these larger businesses. So, you know, I think we've found typically our most success working with more entrepreneurial people. We don't have a home base, right? It's a fully distributed workforce. So you need to find really, really self-motivated people. And part of finding very self-motivated people ties back to hiring from within the community. Like if they're there as their hobby, which all of this started out as for me, right? Creating Punk's comic, this was just like a hobby. you know that they love it at a deeper level than just a paycheck. And that is pretty critical, because you don't have complete oversight over what any specific person is doing. And I think we've put in, a really strong management team to sort of oversee processes, make sure everyone knows what they need to do. But yeah, I mean, certainly it's a lot easier to fall through the cracks in a distributed team. So finding those people that are just super passionate about what we're building, and there's no better place to find it than on Twitter, in Discord, the people that are supporting your project. Like every day I'm amazed when, I talk to somebody and get into more of their background. And like today, Captain, like I had no idea he was that deep into DFS, and like listening to I think it was the DFS Edge with Smiz and Peter and Levitan and stuff back in 2012 or whatever. So I think you'll be surprised how much native talent is here, and it's just a matter of finding the right people for the right roles.
I've always assumed Tommy G is one of the Anon founders in this space. Eric.
Hold on. Let me jump in real quick. Sorry, Eric. I apologize. First off, G-Funk, I completely agree. I love to hear it from the community side of things. I think that's one of the big misses. A lot of teams have gone down the route of hiring externally, and you do miss the passion aspect of it, right? Not just the passion, but also the influence within the community. And G-Funk, you saw this we talk about time flying by. I don't know exactly when, after Beanie and during the kind of decline of things, when you weren't really working throughout your community, right? So community has become a forefront of what you're doing day in and day out, which I love to see. With a decision like this to move to Blast, did you chat through with your community prior to making the decision? Because it's a big one. Or did you feel you knew this was the right call? Did you pick maybe one or two people, have those conversations? How'd you go about bringing your community along for the ride with a big change like bridging to a new blockchain?
Yeah, so I mean, these huge decisions are obviously very tricky. We've worked on this with the core committee. We've worked on this now with the Farmhands Council, right? These groups of loyal players that are under NDA and sort of get a behind the scenes look at what we're doing, help influence our decisions, etc. But I mean, it's hard in Web3, no matter how much you trust the councils with like potentially significant news. And so this one I tried to be very delicate with, because I mean, just look at what's happened since the announcement, like 17x on Wool or something like that. So, anyone that could front run something like that would be put at a tremendous advantage. So fortunately, hiring from within the community and having people like Term and Za and some of our devs who have been players themselves for years, they were very instructive. They sort of tried to read the tea leaves, watching how our community was interacting with Blast, what degree we thought that the existing community was using it. So they did get a heads up prior to the initial announcement, but that wasn't one that I ran through the Farmhands Council for the decision. But with that said, a lot of decisions are run through both the cores and the Farmhands Council. It's just, trying to gauge what is potentially like ridiculously explosive, and I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a very hard balance building in public. I want to share as much as I possibly can, but this was one that I think I had such a high degree of confidence in that I was willing to sort of live and die by my decision on that one.
Yeah, and I think it's proven out to be the right decision, and so kudos for that. By the way, I did get a DM, and so I want to make a note. The Wolf Game tweet that we've got pinned to the top, be cautious. There's several fake Wolf Game accounts posting underneath it. And just like anything,
that means you're doing something right.
Oh, totally. But unfortunately, Twitter or X
Yeah, I
is a
know.
cesspool for
Don't get hacked. People, be careful.
Hacked, don't get scammed. Yeah.
Go to the original Wolf.game. Yeah, be very, very, very careful. But love seeing the scammers coming back because that means I'm doing something
Totally.
right.
Yeah. If there wasn't money to be made, they're gone, right? And so
exactly.
Definitely.
It's when they leave that you start getting concerned. But yeah, certainly concerned for our end users. We had one of like the most devout, loyal, members of our PV community lose his like patented meta hero this week in like a phishing link, and it just sucks, man. So yes, please, people, be careful. This is not some sort of FOMO mint. Caves are going to pop up as other ones fill. Like I said, there's going to be caves exclusive to these free blast sheep, so go in there, get the free sheep, no money. Today, if you go in, you'll still be able to get, I'm 99% sure, so hopefully I don't fuck this up, but I think we're leaving on the free shiny boxes until we go live. There's a potential that it ended last night. I haven't gotten to check, actually, but hopefully you can still get some of the free shiny boxes. There will be paths to make in-game purchases with ETH and USDB. Again, trying to tap into that native functionality of Blast, whereby balances held are a real source of income for us without necessarily players needing to buy something. So trying to lean into as many of the awesome features that they've built into the chain as possible. And of course, trying to make this game exciting. Cave Game was a lot of people's favorite experience in Wolf Game, and this opportunity to go out and find gold in the caves, I think, should be a lot of fun. It's a very basic game. Like, there are a bunch of videos of 5-year-olds playing it, and yet it still has all of those right moments of excitement that even appeal to people like me that are old by crypto standards, 38 now. But I think it'll just appeal to such a wide audience that everybody on Blast is going to want to play. We had, I think, 28,000 sheep minted so far, probably north of 40,000 of these free shiny boxes. You get them by virtue of being in a host of different communities, Pudgy, Bored Apes, Azuki, like all these major founders that I talk frequently with. Pac-Moon, Native Games on Blast, Crypto Valleys, Cambria, Fantasy Top. We had already started the move prior to Fantasy Top's huge breakaway success, but like that was the moment where I was like, okay, I made the right decision. Like, people will make this move if you have something that is attractive. And so, kudos to them. I think they really have helped, continue to accelerate the growth of Blast. And I'm looking forward to, as much as the rest of you, to figure out what the hell Pac-Man does next, because I'm sure he has something up his sleeve to keep it fun, interesting, and game theoretical. So.
Yeah, I agree. I do not think it ends at TGE, and the next season will likely be just as interesting as this one. Eric, go ahead and get in here. Appreciate your patience.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to be the futter here on this. So on CSR, which is contract secured revenue, which is the whole native yield play on Blast, it was actually first done by Scott Lewis on Canto last year. So I kind of got to see a little bit of how that tech works. I'm not sure if you looked into it deep at all, G-Funk, around it, but there's tons of upsides, obviously, to like contract secured revenue, native yield components, being able to, drive revenue off transactions. But there's also kind of like I'm not sold on the tech yet because it fills a whole entire gap for farming volume of transactions to be able to harvest fees off of all types of other things. So I mean, obviously with any new tech, you're going to incentivize a whole bunch of behaviors, and then with that a whole bunch of negative behaviors too. And when I saw CSR play out on Canto, you saw a bunch of projects, DEX and DApps come online, DAU spike, transactions spike, the volume follows, the revenue from the contract secured follows, and then as it all fails away and kind of falls off, you kind of have what Captain was saying, kind of Zed run rise, which is okay. Well, the Rennie stuff's coming in. How do you? I don't know if you thought about all like, what are your thoughts on like how to stop that from happening? Because it is new tech, but it's been live on a few other chains that have tested it out prior. Obviously, not with the gamification mechanics that Pac-Man has put on.
Right. I mean, speaking broadly, I think our team is in a pretty unique position now. having lived a Zed run like experience myself, I am not afraid to make changes and pull the plug on things that aren't working. So we certainly don't want to incentivize the wrong behaviors, and actually, we just went through a bit of that on Reboot ourselves, right? Seeing a huge influx of players from Southeast Asia, which is awesome and great for user growth, but had some potentially negative impacts to the health of the token economy. And so, we're live and iterating right now on fixing those issues. So, to your point, Eric, I mean, it's tough to foresee exactly how everything is going to play out, because prior to Reboot launching, it was all about it being a fun game with Battle Plan, and all the user metrics were insane, and no one was gaming the system. But as soon as you insert financial reward, everything you've done in test environment can basically be thrown out the window, because if there is a way to game the system, people will find it. And that's also a cool thing about the Wolf Game community is, there have been, sort of like minor exploitable items in the past, and, they'll flag them to the team. We'll give them wool for flagging it. So it's definitely a community that builds alongside the team itself, and they are certainly not shy to point out things that they think are wrong with the game. So, we're going to take it day by day, pivot quickly. The size of our team certainly helps with our ability to pivot quickly. So I know that's not a direct answer, because frankly, one doesn't quite exist, but we are aware of many of the potential ways that this could go. And I do think we have a good degree of experience in finding the right balance of incentives, having gone through what we've gone through over the last 3 years with Pixel Vault. But just going to have to take it day by day, as with all other things crypto.
No, 100%. No, yeah, the Reboot comparison is right there, right? Because every new mechanic you add changes it, and
exactly.
Like these
every change we made, there was a counter, and so a little look into the future with Reboot, we're shifting to a heavily tournament based model, which we don't think will be able to be farmed, and will be a much more sustainable business model for the protocol, for players, etc. Leaning on learnings from DraftKings, etc. So trying to use the data that we're able to gather in real time once we're in prod is key. Because unfortunately these demo environments don't reveal the actual ultimate behaviors of users, because it's so heavily influenced in this space by, financial gain, out competing your opponents, the PvP, VP. So yeah, just watching it day by day, reacting quickly, listening to our community. Our community knows more about Wolf Game than I do. Like, there are people have named their children Shep. People have tattoos. Like, this is a diehard community, so I do not take lightly their feedback. And we have some great, like, diehard natives on the team that I think have done a great job of sort of funneling up that feedback. I try my best to take calls with key large holders, but also people whose opinions I respect, like Seed Phrase, like Al, the members of the Farm Hands Council. We've had Snowfro showing up to the Farm Hands Council. He's an A8. So like Gary and AJ, I just talked to the VFriends team earlier this week, trying to get them back and active. They have A8s. G Money has an A8. So it's a really, really strong sort of like influential group of holders, and certainly one of the most OG communities in the space, in especially as it comes to financial gaming. So I think we'll be able to unlock even more than has been shown thus far on Blast.
Cap, I think we just figured it out. He just said it of why he hasn't responded to me. He said he responds and takes calls with people he respects. It's that's fucking.
Bro, didn't you hit me up? Yeah. Didn't you hit me up over the weekend when I was in London? I think it was like my birthday, and like Crawley Town got promoted, and I'm trying to launch Wolf Game.
You don't have shit else. You don't have shit else going on, G-Funk. I'm supposed to be number one in your heart and mind.
We have massive news on the Pixel Vault reboot side that has not yet been revealed publicly, but the deal is inked. Now just working with their team to make that announcement. So it's funny, the GG holders are like, well, it's great that Wool is up 17x, but like when GG, don't worry, I have been multitasking.
That's the problem with being a founder, and you have to be a masochist to be a founder in this space, right? I mean, it's you do one thing good, you get maybe a week, maybe a couple days, and then it's win this, win that. It never stops.
It moves so fast, it never stops. And I mean, this kind of brings full circle to the start of the combo, is like, Garga, man, my undying respect to literally be out of the seat, right? Obviously, he was still active and loved and loves the community, but to be out of the hot seat and like actively take back on this like ridiculously hard role where, somebody's pissed off about something every day, right?
Not just this week, he took it back at all-time low sentiment. Literally, where every collection, which you have a lot of collections, they have a lot of collections. Every collection, the holders were pissed. I mean, masochist.
Right. So like what kind of masochist does that? So like, I don't know. He's bulletproof for life for me. Cause I know on a smaller scale what it's like to be in those shoes. And so to like love Yuga and that community so much, to like take the brunt of that on every day again, when I'm sure he doesn't need the money, big kudos to him. Obviously for all the other founders that are still in the trenches every day, it's just as hard, but like, leaving the seat and then actively taking it back is a whole different thing. So props to him. I've loved every move they've made. I don't know. I think this ETH ETF could be a big moment for everybody in NFTs. Maybe it doesn't, quote unquote, pump our bags immediately, but just getting that regulatory certainty, and Jesus, Pixel Vault has spent quite literally millions of dollars over the last 3 years just trying to keep ourselves as clean as possible in an environment where the laws are, I mean, you think the laws are clear, and then the SEC goes after companies that are seemingly the most compliant companies in the business, like Coinbase and Kraken. And then, the courts ultimately rule on their side. But, once the SEC goes after you, that's multi-million dollars worth of bills. And so for, companies smaller than Coinbase, that's like an extinction level event. And so trying to build a legitimate company where any day Gensler could, come after you for no apparent reason is a pretty scary experience. And it's been awesome seeing a lot of the content creators showing up at like Trump rallies and stuff and pushing the Democrats on the issue of crypto. And as wild as it is, I honestly think that this flip happened because they started seeing so many young voters flipping Trump over the topic of crypto. Like, just magically inside 2 weeks, some bad polling numbers come in, and all of a sudden there's this monumental shift and ETH ETF is approved. Like, it's wild how fast things are moving. But, you know, the more regulatory certainty we have, the more substantive businesses we can make, the more will be accepted into stuff like the iOS App Store, the more companies like Epic Games will be willing to integrate blockchain into, stuff like Fortnite. Obviously excited to see what Yuga does with Otherside and the stuff that's being built here natively. But, having the opportunity again to work with larger companies like what we did with Adidas and WAGMI, though that may have marked the top. I made a joke the other day that G Money and I single-handedly killed NFTs with the WAGMI United drop. But hey, man, if Crawley can be one game away from relegation last year and get promoted this year, like that's a good sign for what can happen with the NFT ecosystem. So I'm here for it. Still building. More of a focus on turning them into items that provide utility than focusing on true NFT sales, right? The business model has certainly changed, but I still think there's a place for generative art and some of these PFPs like Pudgy, because they don't have such large collections. It'll be interesting to see how Luca integrates with the holders of the NFTs further than he already has. So I don't know, sky's the limit. Feeling a lot more positive than I have in a long time. It's nice when a plan comes together. So you've seen the first half of the plan with Wolfgame to Blast launching today. The major news on the Reboot PV front should be coming in the next week or two. Deal is inked. So yeah, fucking ready to go. Let's do it.
We'll have to run it back when you're ready to talk about the Reboot news. Steve, myself, both.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, you're gonna want to have me back.
We'd love to hear what's going on over there. And I really do appreciate your time today. I appreciate you showing up under the weather and speedy full recovery to you. This has been something that I'm almost flabbergasted. We haven't seen more Web3 native teams make this move. And I believe, to your point,
I think people think the Ponzi is going to dry up, right? I think people think that as soon as gold is gone, all the users are going to leave. And there's a lot of reasons there's a lot of behaviors that substantiate that. But one, look at everything Pac-Man has done ever. He finds a way to make it exciting and create attention. And two, he's not a dude that builds vaporware. Yes, he has sort of the magic beans that, that no pun intended, Beanie had, right? That ability to create excitement. And when we were working together as partners, found interesting ways to, create fun tokenomics. Pac-Man does that, but also does what we're aiming to do at Pixelvault and builds real stuff of substance, right? Love or hate Blur and what they did with royalties or whatever, it was a good product. And so for those same reasons, I believe that Blast as a network will be a good and long-term mainstay among the top chains. And, Pac-Man will always find a way to keep it interesting.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that it ends when the gold dries up. Now, sure, are there going to be some farmers that all they do is farm cave game while the gold is pumping and the jackpot's live? Yeah. Are you going to retain everyone? No, but I believe you'll retain a percentage of them. And if you
sure, but what if it's post TGE? It's this feels very Pac-Man. And to be clear, I have absolutely no insider knowledge on this. But it's keep it in the system and you'll get 1.3 times as many, blast tokens or whatever, right? I don't know what he's going to do, but he'll find some way to reward people that continue using the chain.
And
I just think it's
and I agree. And
I could be wrong, but
we did.
I'm betting on it.
Well, I'm betting on it as well because of the dApps, the consumer applications that are being built there, right? We have real stuff now on that chain that I will continue to play, whether it's IKB or I'm excited for Wolf Game because it's something else I can do with my time over there. Like YOLO games, it was almost a turn off for me early on because I'm not really here just to gamble. Like I have to be able to find some sort of edge.
But then you run pure as shit on it, you know. Yeah, if fucking Cap puts like a 0.01 bet and gets 0.9 ETH out of it, like the moment he tries YOLO. So just calm it down, Cap.
I'll give you a look into what my YOLO experience was like. I got a bunch of points or whatever it was at the outset. I don't think they were convertible to Blast Gold or cash in any way, but that very first day, based on however many points you had earned through like the deposit period, you got a bunch of points. And I put it all on one spin and lost. So that was my YOLO experience.
I did the exact same thing, G-Funk. I like literally the exact, and I was done. I was like, well, I'm out.
The problem was some lunatic put way more than I put down. I was like, oh, like I'll have good odds of winning this. Like I'm going to be like 50% for sure. And then some lunatic comes in with like 10x as much as I had like in total. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm basically drawing dead.
I saw the general over there last night throwing 500 ETH shots at YOLO games. Like I've never looked at his wallets. I've never asked like how much money do you have to, how much ETH are you sitting on?
Who did this?
The OG general. He's a
boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
500 ETH into like $1 million bets that there's a chance he loses. And he's asking, oh, if I lose, it's just not my day. I made someone else's.
Yeah. I think a lot of these guys, you know, were just so early to crypto that, you know, if you were getting Solana in, you know, the private rounds at like fractions of a penny, think about how much money you would have made. I bought it at $3 and I thought that was good. So imagine buying it at like fractions of a penny.
Were you motivated by the SPF? Sell me all your Solana at $3 and F off or no? Different.
Oh, that was the day that I went all in on Solana in the last cycle.
I've got one better.
This was the famous fucking G-Funk Mansion cancellation attempt. Literally put all my money in the Solana at $3, ran that up to I think 24. Sold that to buy the portion of CryptoPunks that ended up forming that original collection that was used to launch Punk's Comic. Then Punk's Comic took, 6 weeks to mint out. You know, I had every last penny to my name, including some money from my mom and stepdad put into building this. And so I was like literally all in on this concept of fractionalized NFTs and building IP around NFTs. And it took a little while to click, but finally, once I started making some money on it, just kept DCAing back into Solana. So I think it was like between 30 and 60. And then I sold the entire bag between 180 and 220. So I made a lot of mistakes last cycle, but Solana was the one thing I got right. And it did all start with the sell me all the soul you have at $3 and then go fuck off. So he might be a piece of shit, but he definitely changed my life with that tweet.
That is wild. More of the G-Funk lore we get today as well. I saw Blockchain Ninja popped up, Pancake up as well.
Yeah, we got Pancake up here. Pancake not quickly. I followed Pancake for a long time. Like, Pancake's one of the best follows out there. If you don't follow Pancake, like
I'm a rare fantasy top card holder. I think you're on my team, bro.
Nice. Yeah.
Let's tweet some bangers.
I was doing very well the first week and a half, and then I took a week off.
Yeah, it's all good. I think I missed that tournament anyway.
Yeah, so. I don't know. I try not to get too consumed with the timeline, but I'm back heavy for these next like 3 tournaments. So I'm going to go hard for everybody. But it's been fun, man. I
I like the game, and I'm friends with Travis, and it's just been fun. I mainly jumped in to say what up to my longtime homie Eric. Love you, dog. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just kind of catching up on the conversation. Not too familiar with what G-Funk has going on, but I'm looking into it. I'm not a big Blastable, to be completely honest, but Fantasy Top's got me using it, so I'm investigating the ecosystem.
Well, check out Wolf Game. Always happy to answer any questions. I do have a question for you, so I'm going to flip the script. I was talking to some of the other, like, I don't know, probably like Andy, Zeneca, D's in a thread, and I was laughing that basically everybody that got one of those Fantasy Top cards made after them instantly became a crypto founder inside the week. Like, the shit that people tweet at me, they're like, it's like times 1,000 for you guys. Has that been a pain in the ass? Or are you just ignoring it? Like, it's been hard for me to watch people like, hey, tweet better. Like, what are you doing? Like, where are you? Tweet more.
So
it's got to be kind of annoying.
It's interesting. At first, I didn't know I was added to the platform. I think we're supposed to tell everybody, but I think they forgot to tell me. So I woke up one day and people were just like, tweet, bitch, what are you doing? And I was like, what? Whoa. And then I found out, and I was a little aggravated at first, and then I checked how much money I was making by people trading my cards, and I was like, oh, okay. So I hadn't been trying to build my account for probably a year. I'm in the middle of founding something, and I worked on, I helped start Friend Tech. I've just been busy for the last 2.5 years. And so I was like, I'm not working right now. I'm just kind of in the middle of a raise. Why not just kind of go hard? So once I started performing well, I think my card had the highest volume like a week and a half ago on the entire site. And nobody was mad at me. I just have like a bunch of people just like tagging me and following me and like finding my account through the platform. And like people get mad at people that just like don't perform, I think. But once I was tweeting and doing well, like, I just haven't tried to shit post like I used to for a couple of years, and I kind of brought that back out of me, and everyone's been happy. But it's fun, man. I like it a lot.
Yeah, when your score starts dipping, I hope for your sake it doesn't. But
oh, it did. No,
we'll have to reconnect.
Dude, people in the Fantasy Top chat for a week were like, "Where the fuck is Pancakes?" And like,
yeah,
but
exactly.
It's fine. Everyone was really nice about it. They were like, you're real for not letting the game change how you live. And I was like, yeah, I was just depressed. I didn't feel like tweeting. But like, but yeah, man, honestly, the community has been very, very nice. I've seen a shift a little bit. I feel like they're realizing that like being mean to the card, to the hero, I don't like that word, but the cards.
Yeah, the heroes.
I feel like they're starting to realize being mean to them isn't exactly an incentive. So everyone's been great. I mean, someone started a card holder Twitter group chat for me, which has like 150 people in it, and it's like everyone's really chill and nice, and it's just a good community. But I've talked to Travis a few times. I'm actually going to be on their spaces today. But yeah, good stuff, nice. Man. I would love to, if you can give me a 2-liner about what you have going on. That'd be great.
Yeah, so Wolf Game. I don't know if you ever heard of it or played it back in 21, 22. It was one of the hottest NFT based ecosystems. It's a risk protocol, basically. It started out with the ability for NFTs to steal other people's NFTs, and from there it morphed into this crazy political game with Alpha Game, where there were 8 packs, and the leaders were people like Gary V and AJ and G Money and Seed Phrase and guys like that. Well, actually, Seed wasn't an A8 at that time, but it's always been a community of sort of like game theoretical thinkers, risk reward, and Cave Game is just sort of like a fun mechanic where you roam through the caves, try and find different paths, and you can discover gold and other goods and items that will increase your leaderboard points. And hopefully generate a lot of rewards for you. So quick, easy, sort of simple game that we're going to be launching.
What's the Ponzi side of it? Just because I have to ask, like not in a negative way, but like what's the tokenomic side of it? Like how sustainable do you feel like this is?
Well, I mean, Wool at one point in early 22 reached something like 40, 50 cents, and it bottomed out over the last 2 years, reaching as low as like 0.2 of a penny or something. And so that's one of the things I'm actually most encouraged about, is that like this is a token that is now like really fully distributed to players of the actual game. There's no VCs, there's no insiders to dump on. These are real people that give a shit about the game and want to see it succeed and build. And so I think that's why Wool itself has so much potential as an in-game token, is that just the distribution mechanic, like you couldn't recreate it on a new launch. We have, 30,000 people ready to go day one, 5 to 10,000 of which have been around and still loyal, dating back to 21 and 22. Obviously, a lot of influential NFT owners that are really excited about. Seed Phrase, I think, has like millions of dollars in the Wolf game.
Do I need to own an NFT to play the game?
So ultimately, you will want to, because there will be special things that you can do. But right now, if you go to wolf.game, you can go claim a Blast sheep for free. It's a soul-bound sheep, so you won't be able to sell it, but you'll be able to play the game tonight when we launch.
Cool.
For being in Fantasy Top, you get one free shiny box. For holding Pac Moon, you get a free shiny box. So like, we're trying to encourage other communities with some free items here off the bat. So there's a completely free way to play that you'll get rewards. Then there are different levels of, building up into being a more serious player. But it was important for us. The way the game succeeds is by really building the audience of players. And so that's our focus from day one, is getting people like yourself in for free.
Well,
finding out how much fun the game is.
What's the floor?
What was that?
What's the floor?
Yeah. So for a sheep, it's 0.2.
Oh.
So already day one, we're going to be like one of the most valuable NFTs on Blast. But as recently as 2 weeks ago, it was 0.02.
How do you do that?
So you can buy Blast NFTs through Blur's interface. But I don't know if they're going to or not. They don't. But the actual sheep and stuff haven't been bridged yet. So this is a really cool mechanic. We're actually going to be bridging the animals through the caves. So it's like a one-way stake. You put your sheep into the cave, you go mine for gold and other rewards and in-game items and whatever you may find. And then out the other side is going to come your Blast native NFT. So we're literally bridging people's NFTs through the game. So you can just go pick up a sheep on OpenSea or whatever.
I'm gonna have to DM you for a walkthrough on that.
Yeah, happy to.
But
we've got thousands of players that will be able to give you a much better breakdown than I will, to give you some alpha on how you might want to strategize cave game. Would love to have you play.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the rundown. I'm just kind of in this mode where I'm playing with new things because I'm bored and fun, and trying to have fun, and yeah, I'll jump into it during the playoffs tonight.
Awesome, love it.
I also dropped a post up above from Mintify. It's a post on there. They have some new Fantasy Top features, but that's my preferred marketplace as far as Blast NFT goes. If you're looking for another alternative to Blur.
I'm just betting that somehow he's going to continue to incentivize the use of Blur. So that's why that was my first recommendation. But yeah, I mean, lots of great communities starting to build on Blast. So
yeah, I'm that's curious, man. Since Blast started, I was just not. I don't know. It gave me an icky feeling. But Fantasy Top was the first thing that made me, I don't know, interested in using it. And it's not like I want Blast to fail. I'm just very cautious. I just don't know what about it will have staying power. I think its best chance is to have really good protocols in games and things to do on the chain that other blockchains don't have. But like, I'm still not all the way there as far as like what makes it stand out among everything else. There's a lot of shit going on with the gold and just a lot. I don't know. There's a lot of questions, but I'm becoming more optimistic.
So quick rundown in case you missed it at the top from me is like, one, they have a really unique opportunity in terms of how they're distributing the tokens, right? So it's been hard for other communities to compete where if you think of like a casino, right? How does a minus EV casino compete with a plus EV casino, right? So they've got this huge advantage to native builders right now. But then what's going to substantiate it and sustain it on the back end? And that's what we were talking about with some of the native yield, right? Where players deposit their USDB. So like this is a model for Fantasy Top, right? People deposit their USDB and Fantasy Top is earning yield, which right now is somewhere between like 8 and 14%. It varies. But without you even needing to spend a dime, the company is able to make money, to meet payroll, et cetera, just based on deposits held in game. So that's huge and helps offset a lot of the losses from royalties in the last NFT run. And then another big differentiator, in my opinion, is just how NFT native the ecosystem is, because it was born originally out of Blur. There's some level of NFT familiarity with most users in the ecosystem. And so for Web3 games that are leveraging that technology, of course, I think that provides a little bit of an advantage. And it's just such a heavily sort of like game theoretical, risk-taking audience that I think the user base of Blast is pretty unique versus other.
I will agree with that.
Sort of comparable.
Yeah. I think everyone in Blast is
So,
like
like-
actively looking to have fun. That's different.
Take risks, try new things.
Arbitrum was like, "Where's my airdrop? Where's my airdrop?" Which there's an aspect of that to Blast, but it's like people are having fun. I feel like, which is good.
Yeah, risk taking, and like Arb, I would say for opposite reasons is very attractive. Right? There's like really substantial builders there. There's mainstream commitments. I mean, fucking BlackRock, I think, just filed something with the Arbitrum DAO. So. There's a ton of TVL there, a ton of real legitimate products. Like there's no doubt in my mind that Arbitrum is going to be a long-term winner. It's just the audiences are different, and Wolfgame is such a good fit for the type of people that have been drawn to Blast that I think it's going to be a breakaway success.
Yep.
Like it was back in 21 before I owned it. So
I hope so, man. I hope for anything to succeed in the space. So
appreciate that.
I was similar to Pancake. It was Fantasy Top was the first aha moment. IKB was another really big aha moment of like, okay, there's apps here that I'll come back. I know I'm not the only one. You know, I'm likely one of those users that's retained as a new Wolfgame user. That if it wasn't for this move, it's out of sight, out of mind for me. I'm not even thinking about Wolfgame if it's not for the move to Blast. And so I guess G-Funk, is there anything that we haven't asked you today? And we'll get Blockchain Ninja in here, and then Howie Zebra, if you got time for a couple more questions. But is there anything we didn't ask you today about why, if you're a founder and you're on the fence or they've considered it, is there anything that we didn't ask you that you think that it'd be helpful for another founder to hear about making the move to Blast?
So I didn't know this at the time, but another big selling point. I mean, we have had an unbelievable amount of support from other builders. Like the Wasabi team, they were all former Wolf gamers, working with Thruster and Hyperlock. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. D1, like we've been able to get in contact with all of these teams. Everybody is sort of in this position of wanting to work together. So among the builders on Blast, there really is no PvP component, right? We talked to Crypto Valleys, which, they have their game is literally a farm. But both sides are both happy to try and find ways to, cross-pollinate, elevate each other's communities. So in that sense, getting in early on a chain like this, where all the builders are trying to help one another, I think that's really refreshing. And there's not a sense of competition. Of course, once it reaches scale, that more of that will come. But it's been awesome working with all the teams, and you can tell everybody has a strong commitment to seeing the chain succeed over the long term. And also working with the native Blast team and Telegram, they've been quick to respond to me all the time with my questions. So if you're searching for a commitment to like have them say, you're going to get XYZ for coming, you're not going to get it. But if you just commit and build and create attention and have a strong community and want a chance at a fresh start, I think Blast is a really good opportunity, given the ability for them to generate on their own excitement through all the wild shit Pac-Man does. And then, of course, if you're able to generate excitement within your own community, so we certainly have that with our players in Wolf Game. But another example, Captain like Zed, I think a lot of people, and this is no hate on them, have sort of given up on Zed. But if they made a move like this, like all of a sudden, I think they have a new beginning, or at least a chance,
it's
right?
It's another shot at least. You're like, especially right now, it's hard to envision someone making a move like that and not getting a flood of new users. Now, it's on them to execute and build a fun game that keeps them. But yeah, that, I think as far as an extra shot, and the thing you said earlier that really stuck with me was, how does a plus EV, how does a game that's charging 10 to 15% rake compete with something that's the same game that's not only rake free, it's rake back? Like, the math doesn't math. Like, if you're really playing this to profit.
I played, just like you, I always, like, I'm a long time user of DraftKings. Since Andy launched IKB, I've only played DraftKings twice, and it was for the Masters and the PGA Championship, because I like golf, and Andy doesn't offer a golf product, right? And, certainly IKB is nowhere near the polish yet of DraftKings, but, he's improving the product each day. And, I like supporting crypto native teams. And I think there's a lot of things he'll be able to unlock that DraftKings has not yet. But again, with this increased regulatory clarity, the DraftKings team was like super pro crypto. And so, I've spoken to them in the past regarding Reboot. Of course, we launched a Rainmakers collection with them 2 years ago. So I'm actually bullish on DraftKings leaning further into crypto. So yeah, it's going to be awesome when you start getting more big companies like that leaning in and just continuing to provide legitimacy.
I love it. Riggs, I know you got a role here too. We will wind things down. Appreciate everyone's patience. Appreciate everyone's time. But Riggs, any final parting words?
No, G-Funk, I appreciate you being here, and it's been great to continue to watch you iterate, build on the things that one like Wolf Game you've acquired, and I think this was on the surface a great move, and it's going to be exciting. I've got some stuff. I went and got the shiny boxes, and I'll be participating now that it's over there, right? And so I think it's working just on the surface again with your thesis. So congratulations on that. Just appreciate you being here. We'll catch up soon. I hope you do feel better. With that, though, that's pretty much all I've got. We can pass it down to blockchain, and then we can kind of wrap it up.
Appreciate it, Riggs. I'll be quick. First things for everyone. Second things just for you, G-Funk. I'm currently working with someone in the DJ network who got compromised last night. Just a word of advice to everyone. If you get a text message saying it's from Apple, it should have a check mark in the text message, like by the person's name, and it will have a notification to the left, like an actual picture of the Apple logo. Don't get scammed. If it's from Apple, it will be verified. Next thing for G-Funk. Look, I didn't really know that much about Wolf Games, honestly. I haven't really done too much on Blast. I've loved what I've been hearing. The tweet that was posted up top, I was actually the one that messaged Riggs and Cap about it. I went ahead and blacklisted all the links in that one. And then the one that was posted 58 minutes ago, I went ahead and blacklisted all the scam links in that one as well. That way it keeps your community safe. If you check your DMs, there's actually a picture showing proof that I blacklisted all of them. I love what I'm hearing. I'm going to take part. I got to go upstairs, get on the computer and mint my free wolf. But I would love to talk to you and the team whenever y'all are available, kind of about all of that. I mean, that's kind of it. Like I said, I love what I've been hearing.
Free sheep right now. He's got a lot of swag. He's got a hat and glasses, and he's yellow. go mint the free sheep, get some shiny boxes, and there'll be a lot of utility just for players coming in free. And we hope that people like yourself will continue to stick with the game because clearly, if you've had a token go from 40 cents, 50 cents at the peak of alpha game and kind of like NFT mania down to 0.2 of a penny, and you still have like thousands of weekly active users, clearly there's something right there. And that's why we acquired Wolf Game. The community, there was like a solid foundation, and I think we're going to be able to bring it back, revitalize it with some small changes, and then some big ones coming in the future post Cave Game. So yeah, excited to have everybody check it out, iterate in real time. Pivot Man pivots. Let's go.
Dude, honestly, the only reason I hadn't tried it is because I've been working 17 to 20 hours a day. But look, if scammers are targeting it that much, there's a reason, so it's got to be good. So I definitely am going to check it out. But now at least anyone who goes to click and get a free sheep, if they click the wrong link by accident, you'll see that big red screen from MetaMask. So yeah, definitely go claim.
Appreciate you doing that.
Not a problem, man.
And
Claim the free sheep.
yeah, reach out to me via DM.
Yeah, I shot you a DM. Like I said, you'll see proof that all the links are blacklisted in there as well. So more than happy to link up with you.
Thank you.
I love that we started the day talking about the NFT Avengers. We get introduced to Pivot Man. My last question, I'll go to Howie here if you got a quick one, but my last question for G-Funk is, when do we get a Chris Wall Pivot Man custom 1 of 1?
So this my new little ridiculous sort of like squiggly version that Odious drew, I'm kind of having fun with since it's meme season. So I may have a funny looking little superhero character with a P instead of an S, with a cape and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna have to have Chris update it. Though today I may need to go back to like the wolf hoodie in honor of Cave Game launching, and Chris did that one, of course. I mean, he's the fucking man. Like, you would not believe how fast he can pump out just like the best art in the business. So yeah, we have a team of killers that have been through the fucking ringer, and we're all still here. We've dealt with it because we love it, and care about the community succeeding. So it's nice seeing greener pastures ahead. No pun intended.
Chris made by far my favorite honorary. I'll drop it in the chat and put it up above here in a second. But yeah, it is a absolute banger.
Which one? The Gordo one?
The one he made of my PFP.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the one is pretty sweet as well. But yeah, I'm biased.
Everybody always shows me the Gordo zombie he did. That was pretty dope when Gordo bought the zombie.
Yeah, no, that is everything he's done is fire. But yeah, I'm personally biased to my very own. Howie, go ahead and get in here, Howie.
Hey, thanks for having me up. Good space there, Captain. G-Funk, one question, but first I want to throw some flowers because that's what you're supposed to do on these spaces. But I mean, long time Wolf Gamer, loved the game, conviction with all my friends down there. I see their PFPs. I played in the first Cave Game. I like to just give a sneak peek. I don't think people realize what they're in for. The dopamine hit when you're taking your little sheep and you're looking for treasure, the music, the whole experience, it is a vibe. It is incredible. And I don't doubt that all of these thousands of people that are getting their run through with this free sheep are going to fall in love with Wolf Game. And they're going to want to know, how can I get into those bigger caves? So those bigger caves, I'm assuming, have big old rewards. Just to give an idea, because money talks and bullshit walks, I'm a tiny player. I have maybe a handful of assets dedicated. My season 1 pouch is 1.1 million. That's 7 ETH. You too, if you're listening, can get a slice of that, and it's fun as hell, man. I just love Wolf Game with all my heart. Love how you've taken over and given a good bump from the bottoms. And so, anyways, my question is season 2. I want to know, when is season 2, and most importantly, there's been some questions about bridging over to Blast. It's pretty exciting. We're going over there. A lot of us are learning about Blast for the first time. But some of us have a lot of assets, not me, but that cost to bridge over, is there like a mechanism for that? I'm kind of curious about those two things.
Yeah, I mean, the bridging process should be pretty cost effective. We're looking at allowing bulk bridging. We're also looking to introduce sometime soon bulk gameplay within the caves because, you know, people like Seed. I think he has a couple hundred sheep. So we have plans for all of that in store, and you won't really need to worry about it because it's going to be bridging through the caves themselves as you play. We can give more details as that approaches, but to your point, Howie, yeah, there's the free entry, and then there's going to be a bunch of caves that will be for NFT holders as you know get increasingly addicted to Wolf Game and want to potentially ramp up your ability to farm. So as with all things PV, we try and make the process as seamless for end users. Like the Punks 3 drop, even though it hasn't fared super well in terms of the price of the NFTs. We spent $550,000 internally just on Chainlink fees to ensure fair distribution of NFTs. So I think it's still to date the largest ever deployment of Chainlink VRF. So this is not a team that takes shortcuts. We always try and do right by players. So rest assured that there will be a good option for you and not something to worry about.
I love it. And Howie, thanks for coming up. Great to connect. You got me more excited to dive into Wolf Game myself. I was going to do it anyways because I am the target demographic for the gamified layer 2 that is Blast. I've been a bull for a while now after the light bulb started going off, but I even my conviction grows hearing G-Funk explain it so well today. So I really appreciate that, and how I appreciate you sharing. Looking forward to diving in. G-Funk, you mentioned Gary in passing there as leading one of the packs. I know Wolf's, the sheep are the entry level NFT in addition to the free one. If you're looking to get started, then there's the Wolf would be the next level up. Isn't
right?
The
wolves and sheep will have different caves, and then wolves will obviously have different capabilities come the relaunch of Valley Game. And as like a sneak peek, the next iteration of Valley Game, post Cave Game, is going to be kind of like a hybrid of what made Alpha Game special. This sort of like political dynamic. There's going to be war involved, the destruction of structures, people banding together. It's going to be heavily social. All the things that, in my mind, are creating the most successful projects in the space. And Wolf Game has been early to all of them, so we're going to combine the best of what has existed in the past to try and really blow this thing up. So, post Cave Game, we'll be flowing straight into the next season of Valley Game, where you can expect a lot of drama and a lot of upside.
Love it.
What about the Wolf Game V Friends collab NFT? Do you get anything special if you have? Because I apparently have some of those.
So as of now, no, but there's no reason why we couldn't. I need to just sort of like reach out. We were considering opportunities for like exclusive caves for strong partner communities and stuff like that. Right now, the focus has been on the primary assets, but you can expect caves moving forward, potentially even into season 2 as you explore the valley. You may be able to unearth additional caves. So lots of exciting possibilities and partnership opportunities. I think the biggest win for existing holders is more players. And so, that's what we're aiming to do.
And for all those new players, Kyle in the chat, appreciate you sharing that. Dropped a good 101 thread up above if anyone's looking for a deeper dive. And as G-Funk mentioned, this is one of those communities where you could tell from Howie, a lot of passionate players that I'm sure would be glad to, whether it jump on a voice chat or spend some time in the DMs to help walk you through if you have questions. It's one of my favorite parts about Web3 is G has like an army of customer support and onboarding agents out there because of the passionate player base that exists.
Exactly. And I mean, think about it. How he said the size of his bag and how much he was able to get out of season 1 of Wolf Game. I mean, you're only capped by your dedication and trying to learn the game and trying to outplay others. And there are a lot of people very willing to share their knowledge with you. The community is definitely the reason we acquired the game. So props to people like Howie. Thanks for sticking with us. And, I'm very excited to see all the prices and everything increasing as people get more and more excited. Of course, that does nothing to generate revenue for us, Pixel Vault, and the Wolf Game team. But, happy players leads to more players, leads to expansion of the game. And that's how we make all of this succeed. So, starting from focusing on the players, and I think the rest will take care of itself.
I think it's a perfect way to cap the conversation too, because to me, that's part of the secret sauce that Blast isn't getting enough credit for. They've created like Polygon, giving them all the credit in the world for their biz dev team and stroking 7-figure checks to get big brands to come build on their network. And it worked, right? And there is development costs, like all that makes sense. But this culture of, hey, we'll reward you, but it is a meritocracy. And not only will we reward you, the expectation, the culture is that you pass those rewards on to your players. And I think this is a fundamental shift in Web3 that was kind of always at the core and always at the ethos. This is just the best we've seen it executed from a blockchain standpoint, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Pac-Man is he's a genius with this stuff. So happy to be along for the ride. At the start of Pixel Vault, the burning and staking mechanic was like, whoa, this wild, crazy thing that nobody had ever seen done. The Mint Pass, again, we were the first to do that. And now to see where it's come years and years later, it's just awesome. I'm having fun with it. I'm participating in a bunch of apps, so looking forward to sort of pivoting as the chain itself continues to take shape. Because like I said, he's made a game out of it, and that's what draws users, and hopefully those users flow to Wolf Game.
Well, again, thanks so much for your time this morning. Speedy, full recovery. Congrats on the migration. I know the launch will go smooth. I'm excited to dive in, and again, looking forward to having you back here in a couple weeks. It sounds like with Battle Plan news. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's always great being on here. I think you guys have one of the best shows in the space, if not the best. Definitely a very balanced takes all around, very informational. So always happy to come on with you guys. Yeah, lots of exciting news. You guys will be the first to drop it alongside PV. And yeah, gonna just keep grinding. No days off, man. I've been at this for over 3 years now, and I think I took I had my honeymoon that was 5 days, and I was still having to check in with work on that. So no days off, sickness and health, COVID or not. I don't have COVID this time, but twice. So yeah, you will never have to question my commitment to making this a success. I promise you that.
Appreciate all you're doing. And not only as I'm looking forward to playing Wolf Game, I truly believe this will be we'll look back in 6 months and I think there'll be several, if not dozens, that follow your lead here. So I appreciate taking the initiative and being a leader in this space where it may, for someone like myself who's bullish on the platform and I'm that target demographic, it may seem like an obvious move, but it's certainly not. And especially to be first and go into it with the unknown. Much respect, and again, appreciate all you do.
Yeah, and credit to our team. I mean, this is possible because of the studs that we have on our team, and to some extent the size of our team. We're able to move quickly. Yeah, I can't give enough credit to the technical gaming, everybody on our team. Of course, I'm out here on spaces and stuff, but definitely owe it to them. So yeah, looking forward to continuing to develop, and hope you'll all check out the game, and we will continue to iterate on your feedback, and hopefully this is the #1 DApp on Blast.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new here, if you just found us by way of Wolf Game and G-Funk today, we do run this back every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. My other Riggs did an incredible job today pinch hitting for Steve. Steve's the much more better looking, well-spoken co-host of the two of us. But he'll be back on Monday with us. We'll be in consensus next week. So that's where I was going to go with the Gary V conversation. I hope to see you on the stage at VCon again this year. It's been one of my favorite conferences because we get to hear from leaders like yourself. So no obligation to answer that. I know he does kind of keeps his speakers under wraps until he's ready to announce them. But hope to see you at VCon. Will we see you at or no?
Definitely. I will not be at Consensus, but I will be back in my hometown for VCon in LA.
Awesome. We'll see you out there. Anyone that's going to be in Austin next week, hit us up. It's not finalized yet, but I think we're going to do a live coffee with Captain on Friday of next week. Pancakes powered by the NFT Catcher podcast. Looking forward to that overdue crossover show with our buddy Michael Keene. But again, truly, thanks for your time today, G-Funk. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Riggs, appreciate you co-hosting. You're the best. Had fun with the burn, buy, sell. I'm making Steve proud by not even saying the other one. But thanks again for tuning in, everyone. We will see you on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon. I butchered the.
Thanks, everybody. I'll make sure to message you back, Riggs, so you can stop roasting me on the
Love
next
you, buddy.
space. Love you too, man. Thanks,
Have
everybody.
a wonderful day, everyone.
This episode is brought to you by DGen Network, the only community-based Web3 media network, bringing you the very best content in the NFT and cryptocurrency space. Please visit dgen.network and check out our other great shows. That's DGen, DGEN.network.
Welcome to the future.